Chapter 1700. Su Fang was in the process of evolving. 9 Truths and 9 Suns, Chapter 1719. Meanwhile, deep inside the Tianming celestial land of the Tianming sect, in an independent space, the first Supreme Elder was staring at a stone statue floating in the void. His eyes were filled with struggle and hesitation. A moment later, the first Supreme Elder wore a determined look as he transmitted his primordial spirit to the stone statue. Progenitor, I've been asleep for countless years. Could it be that the Tianming Haotsong sect is on the verge of extinction? A faint voice that seemed to come from ancient times came out from the stone statue. The stone statue that had been deathly still suddenly gained a sliver of life at this moment. It turned out that the stone statue was not an ordinary stone statue, nor was it a puppet. The stone statue contained the Tianming Haotsong sect's progenitor. The Tianming Haotsong sect's progenitor was a peerless genius. He established the Tianming Haotsong sect with the Tai Huang bell and rose to prominence in the outside world, becoming the strongest faction in the outside world. Later on, the Tianming progenitor ascended to the God Realm and joined the God Realm's faction, the Seal Heaven Divine Path. However, he was treated as a slave and suffered humiliation. 9 Truths and 9 Suns, Chapter 1719. Even the Tianming Haotsong sect he established was controlled by the Seal Heaven Divine Path and became their puppet faction in the outside world. Before the Tianming progenitor died, he escaped from the Seal Heaven Divine Path and returned to the Tianming Haotsong sect. He sealed himself in the stone statue with a supreme ability and fell into a deep sleep to delay his death. As the Tianming progenitor had escaped from the Seal Heaven Divine Path, the Seal Heaven Divine Path was closely related to the existence that controlled the heavenly Tao of the outside world. Therefore, the heavenly Tao would be aware of the Tianming progenitor's awakening and punish him. Not only the Tianming progenitor would not be able to escape the punishment, even the Tianming Haotsong sect would be implicated. Therefore, the Tianming progenitor was treated as the Tianming Haotsong sect's final trump card. They would not awaken him unless the sect was in danger. It might not be the end of the sect, but it's close. The first Supreme Elder's voice was filled with helplessness. Then, when the first Supreme Elder was about to tell the Tianming Haotsong sect about the Tianming Haotsong sect's progenitor, the Tianming progenitor in the stone statue suddenly shouted, "The will of the heavenly Tao is descending." Strange, why is the will of the heavenly Tao descending? The first Supreme Elder's progenitor's eyes progenitor. The treasure is here. Boom. The progenitor first progenitor's progenitor's progenitor 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 first progenitor progenitor progenitor. Progenitor 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 of the Haotsong Hahakang Haotsong progenitor heavens Haotsong progenitor was progenitor God progenitor sect. The golden shadow looked down at the first Supreme Elder and said in a voice that seemed to come from the horizon, "You have the imperial seal of the Seal of Heaven Divine Path in his divine aperture. You should be the representative of the Seal of Heaven Divine Path in the outside world, right?" The Supreme Grand Elder replied with trepidation, reporting to Divine Lord, "This one is indeed the Supreme Grand Elder of the Heaven's Mandate, Haotsong sect. May I ask if Divine Lord is from the Seal Heaven Divine Tao?" The Golden Phantom said majestically, "That's right, I am the envoy from the Seal Heaven Divine Path. You can call me Divine Monarch Azure Sunday. The world has changed, and the Seal the Heaven's Divine Path has severed its connection with the outside world. This time, I paid a huge price to allow my divine sense to cross the boundary and descend. It is precisely because I have an important matter for the Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect to do." The first Supreme Elder was pleasantly surprised. "Sir Divine Lord, have you come to save the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect? Is the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect facing some kind of danger? If that's the case, I'll have to find someone else," the Golden Shadow said indifferently. Only then did the Supreme Grand Elder realize that the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect's safety was nothing in the eyes of the gods of the God world. The gods of the Seal Heaven Divine Path didn't care about the sect's survival at all. Not long ago, the supreme god race that controls the heavenly Tao of the outside world sent an order to the Seal Heaven Divine Path. They sensed that a cultivator in the outside world had caused the world to resonate when he was breaking through. The heavenly Tao paused for a moment, and the heavenly Tao was specifically ordered to find this cultivator. If he's worth nurturing, the supreme god race will spare no expense to bring this cultivator to the god world and carefully nurture him. The Heaven's Mandate Haotsong sect is the #1 faction in the outside world, so it shouldn't be difficult to find this person. The Supreme Grand Elder was shocked and stunned. There's such a person in the outside world? The golden shadow shot out of Xian Guang and turned into a light screen. Although the figure in the light screen was a little blurry, the Supreme Grand Elder could recognize it even if it turned into ashes. Who else could it be but Su Fang? The Supreme Grand Elder immediately turned into a log. Unexpectedly. He really didn't expect that Su Fang would break through again and attract the attention of the Heavenly Tao. The Heavenly Tao didn't want to punish him, but it wanted to bestow upon him great fortune and give him the opportunity to soar to the sky. The mortal enemy that the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect had schemed to get rid of was valued by the supreme god race that even the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect looked up to. How could the Supreme Grand Elder not be shocked and in despair? The voice of the Golden Shadow was full of surprise. Why, do you know this person? That's great. Once such a person joins the Supreme God race, he will definitely not be an ordinary person in the Heavenly Tao. Find this person as soon as possible and rope him in at all costs. Even if he has a favorable impression of the Seal Heaven Divine Path, it will bring great benefits to the Seal Heaven Divine Path in the future. Sir God Azure's son impatiently passed down the order. Lord Divine Lord, I'm afraid this person won't have a favorable impression of the Seal Heaven Divine Path. Instead, he has a monstrous hatred, the Supreme Grand Elder said bitterly and slowly told Lord Qin Yang about Su Fang's deeds. When the Supreme Grand Elder said that during the 5th Heaven and Earth anomaly, Su Fang received the title of Seal Heaven Divine Path at the Destiny platform and inexplicably caused the space to collapse, causing the connection between the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect and the Seal Heaven Divine Path to be severed, Lord Qin Yang suddenly understood. I see. When junior brother Kai Yang sent down his willpower projection and prepared to plant the Imperial Seal on the Son of Destiny, this person resisted. Not only did the planting of the Imperial Seal fail, junior brother Kai Yang's willpower projection was destroyed and his primordial spirit was severely injured. This caused quite a commotion in the Seal Heaven Divine Path. I didn't expect it to be this person. Sir God Qin Yang's words shocked First Supreme Elder. Then, he clenched his teeth in anger. The culprit was Su Fang. If he had known, he would have killed him then. How would there be any future troubles? The Supreme Grand Elder was so regretful that his intestines turned green. Lord Qin Yang shouted coldly, since the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect is in charge of the macro world for the Seal Heaven Divine Path, why didn't I get rid of such a peerless genius as soon as possible since I couldn't use him? The Supreme Grand Elder smiled bitterly and told Lord Qin Yang what happened later. Lord Qin Yang was also surprised and shocked. This cultivator from the macro world, named Su Fang, has grown to the point where even gods can't suppress him, and he has attracted the attention of the paramount god tribe. Once he joins the god tribe, it will be a huge disaster for the Seal Heaven Divine Path. What should we do? Lord Divine Lord, why don't we just kill him and eliminate all future troubles? Idiot, the paramount god tribe controls the heaven's way of the macro world. As long as I take action, it will immediately attract the attention of the god tribe. By then, even the Seal Heaven Divine Path will be implicated, let alone me. With the paramount god tribe's strong influence in the universe, It will be easy to wipe out the Seal Heaven Divine Path. Do you want to bring disaster to the Seal Heaven Divine Path? After a while, the Supreme Grand Elder suddenly said, Lord Divine Lord, I have an idea. Let's do it. The only thing we can do now is to kill Su Fong in one fell swoop. Lord Divine Lord, you can't do it yourself, and you can't even send gods down. You can only kill Su Fong with the power of the macro world. Even if the Paramount God tribe knows about it, they won't punish the Seal Heaven Divine Path. Nonsense. Even the Azura from the God realm couldn't kill him and was instead seriously injured. How can the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect kill him? At this moment, Ancestor Tianming's faint voice came from the stone statue, Lord Qin Yang, how have you been? Suddenly, a golden light burst out from the golden shadow and landed on the stone statue. You are a god from the God realm? Ka ka ka. The rock above the stone statue suddenly cracked open, revealing an old man. The old man's face was pale and his aura carried a faint aura of death, as if he was a corpse that had just crawled out of a coffin. Ancestor Tianming said respectfully, Lord Qin Yang, I am the founding ancestor of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. After ascending to the God realm, I became a servant of the Seal Heaven Divine Path. I have met Lord Qin Yang several times. Do you remember me? I remember now. You disappeared for no reason back then. Because you are related to the Seal Heaven Divine Path's control of the macro world, the sect ordered me to descend to the lower realm to track your whereabouts. I didn't expect you to be hiding in the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. Your actions are no different from rebellion. Lord Qin Yang released a supreme divine aura that shrouded Ancestor Tianming. He was about to send down heavenly punishment and kill him. At this moment the Supreme Grand Elder pleaded, Lord Divine Lord, it's all thanks to the Ancestor that we can kill Su Fong. If we kill him, no one can suppress Su Fong. When he ascends to the God realm, he will bring endless trouble to the Seal Heaven Divine Path. Please reconsider. Lord Qin Yang was stunned. After pondering for a moment, Lord Qin Yang slowly dispersed the divine aura that shrouded Ancestor Tianming. Get rid of Su Fong as soon as possible. After that, there is no need for you to exist. Otherwise, you should know how the Seal Heaven Divine Path treats traitors. When the time comes, they will do whatever it takes to come to the macro world from the world's end. Not only you, but the entire Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect will not be able to escape heavenly punishment and divine punishment. Chapter 1701. In the chaotic void outside the chaotic heaven great world, Su Fong was sitting cross-legged in the formation. The calamity fire, illusionary fire cloud, and 9 sun immortal fire on his body had been burning for half a year. Upper-level Tao realm. Immortal highnesses were known as the Supremes among the immortals. Upper-level Tao realm experts were the Supremes among the immortal highnesses. Apart from a few peak experts and a handful of half-god experts, the upper-level Tao realm experts were considered the Supremes among the immortals. Besides, how could Su Fong be an ordinary upper-level Tao realm expert? Su Fong's aura became even more ethereal, like a heavy sword that had been tempered thousands of times without any sharpness. It looked simple, but once it displayed its sharpness, it would be unbeatable. My perfect flesh has reached a new height. My senses have become stronger too. It feels like I can sense the secrets of the heavens and earth. The Black Lotus True Body, Dragon Subduing True Body, Fire Cloud Emperor Flesh, and Underworld Golden Body that were built on the perfect flesh have all evolved. Su Fong was overjoyed after inspecting his body. He could now kill a peerless expert at the peak of the upper-level Tao realm with his flesh alone. Meanwhile, Su Fong felt like he had merged with the heavens and earth. He could easily sense the rules of the heavenly Tao and control the laws of nature. So this is the upper-level Tao realm. He looked at the Heaven-Earth Tao Palace. The Yang force in the 52 Yang veins and the World Tree did not change much, but the Heaven-Earth Tao Palace had become deeper and was filled with divinity. It had the aura of the heavenly Tao reincarnation and the evolution of the real universe. It was vast and boundless, containing endless secrets. If I use all my strength and turn myself into a world, I can even fight a half-god expert. However, it will consume a lot of energy too. I won't be able to last long. Su Fang was full of confidence after his strength had improved once again. At this moment, Luo's voice came from the blood jade in his body. I didn't expect this, I really didn't expect this. When you fused with the blood jade and I saw you for the first time inside the blood jade, you were the lowest level cultivator in the great world. In less than 10,000 years, he had grown to such an extent. It could be said that he stood at the pinnacle of the great world. I feel very honored to be able to witness such a legend. Su Fang responded with a smile. Luo, it's not easy to get such high praise from you. Originally, I wanted to help you devour the flame Kirin beast's heart blood and break out of the blood-colored cage. However, my breakthrough was delayed for so many years. I have been sealed in the blood jade for who knows how long. What is a mere 100 years? There's no hurry. Let's wait until you've stabilized for a while. After ending the communication with Law, Su Fang took all his men into the true dragon realm. Even the spiritual veins that were thrown into the ruins were all collected. Then, Su Fang's young immortal came to the cave abode where Qi Yanzi was cultivating in the true dragon realm. Brother Qi. In the past 100 years, Qi Yanzi had devoured a large number of yin-yang immortal sky pills and spiritual items. Su Fang even took out a king-grade yin-yang immortal sky pill to help Qi Yanzi recover. Although Qi Yanzi had yet to fully recover, he was no longer on the verge of death. He looked much more spirited than before. Qi Yanzi said, "Brother Su, I have recovered a little. I will take you to find the magic treasure fragment." "Thank you, Brother Qi, that magic treasure fragment was most likely a part of the 10,000 mammoth Dharma. It was very important. Su Fang had to find it no matter what, so he would not be polite with Qi Yanzi. After releasing Qi Yanzi from the true dragon realm, Su Fang had the immortal demon monster accompany him to the barren land where Qi Yanzi had hidden the magic treasure fragment. With Qi Yanzi's current state, it would be very troublesome if he encountered a strong enemy. Su Fang planned to find a spiritual land and use the flame Kirin beast's heartblood to help Law break through his shackles. He could not leave at the moment, so he let his second primordial spirit go with Qi Yanzi. With his second primordial spirit's current strength, even if it encountered a demigod expert, it could escape if it could not defeat them. Su Fang was naturally not worried about any problems. The chaotic energy of the world is everywhere in the chaotic sky world. It will be somewhat difficult to find a place with abundant spiritual energy. Where to find a spiritual land was a headache for Su Fang. If there was no other way, he could only use the spiritual veins and ethereal enlightenment's supreme abhijna to artificially create a spiritual land. Law, however, was very relaxed. He spoke from the blood jade. Didn't the cloud heaven's sacred ground appear in the chaotic sky great world? Since it's called a sacred ground, there must be a spiritual land with abundant natural spirit qi. Why don't you go to the cloud heaven sacred ground? Not only will the spiritual land problem be solved, but you might also meet Huang Lingyao and continue your previous fate. Cloud heaven sacred ground? That's a good choice, but it's very likely that the cloud heaven sacred ground is related to Huang Lingyao. That woman is cunning and ruthless. If she affects your important matters, the gains will not make up for the losses. Huang Lingyao's fate is very entangled with yours. Just wait and see. Something will happen between you sooner or later. You can't avoid it even if you want to. Suddenly, buzz, buzz, buzz. A huge commotion suddenly came from Su Fang's divine aperture. The divine aperture flashed with the heavenly secret life shrinking technique's destiny Dao text. After a flash, it turned into the figure of a man in green. Who else could it be but the green feather demon emperor? Senior Green Feather has also come to the chaotic sky great world. Su Fong was pleasantly surprised. After parting with the Green Feather Demon Emperor in the dreamy cloud heaven, he had planned to have an exchange with him and the two peerless demon saints of the demon realm. However, a series of unforeseen events had happened, and he had not seen the Green Feather Demon Emperor again. He did not expect to meet the Green Feather Demon Emperor again in the chaotic sky great world. Su Fong immediately activated the physical body perfection ability and the heavenly secret life shrinking technique to sense the Green Feather Demon Emperor's aura. Whoosh! To Su Fong's surprise, the Green Feather Demon Emperor's figure flashed within his sensing range. It was so fast that Su Fong had no time to react. Then, Su Fong's perfect vision saw more than a dozen cultivators flying through the chaotic void. They seemed to be chasing after the Green Feather Demon Emperor. From the auras and clothes of these cultivators, Su Fong determined their origins. They were cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect. Among them was a great elder whose strength had reached the high-level Tao realm. Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect, you actually dare to chase after my friend. If I don't destroy the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect, I, Su Fong, am not human. Su Fong instantly became murderous. Su Fong, saving people is more important. My matter can be temporarily put aside, Law said from the Blood Jade. All right, let's save Senior Green Feather first. Su Fong immediately flew out from the ruins. With the Green Feather Demon Emperor's current strength, once he fully activated his talent, even a peak high-level Tao realm powerhouse would be unable to catch up to him. Su Fong was delayed for a moment and was already unable to capture his aura. He could only head towards the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect. Great Biscuit Feast. Venerable Xianlin is actually here too. Through his perfected vision, Su Fong immediately saw that Venerable Xianlin was also among the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect who were chasing after the Green Feather Demon Emperor. Xianlin. Su Fong secretly transmitted his essence soul to Venerable Xianlin. Master is nearby? The voice of Su Fong's essence soul suddenly sounded in Venerable Xuanlin's mind, causing his body to tremble in fear. Su Fong asked, "Let me ask you, when did you come to the chaotic sky great world? Why is the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect chasing after the Green Feather Demon Emperor?" When the Cloud Heaven Holy Land appeared, the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect sent out a large number of powerhouses. As I am proficient in the great Tao of array formations, I was also sent out. Just a few days ago, the powerhouses of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect and above received an order from the First Grand Elder to search for Master's whereabouts. Master's good friend from the rock race from the demon realm was also searching for Master's traces. In the end, his identity was exposed a few days ago, so the powerhouses of the sect chased after him everywhere. The Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect is indeed unwilling to give up. Su Fong smiled embarrassedly. Venerable Xianlin reminded, "Master, you must not be careless. The sect plans to capture Master's monster friends and then use them as bait to design a trap to kill Master." Su Fong smiled coldly. In the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect, other than the First Grand Elder, who else can be my match? Even if the First Grand Elder personally makes a move, I am confident in killing him. They actually dare to scheme against me? They really don't know what death is. Unexpectedly, Venerable Xianlin said, "Master, don't underestimate the foundation of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect. In the sect, other than the powerhouses that you can see on the surface, there are also some unknown forces in the sect. I just found out about them too. Any family or sect had a foundation that was passed down, let alone the number one faction of the Immortal Tao, the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect. Their foundation naturally couldn't be underestimated." Su Fong became vigilant in his heart. He raised his brows and asked, "What foundation? Could it be that the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect still has a demigod powerhouse?" I'm not very sure what it is exactly either. But the first Grand Elder is very confident this time. From the decree he issued, it can be seen that as long as he finds Master's whereabouts, he has the confidence to kill Master. Master, you must not be careless. Only a god can kill me. Could it be that Sang Han of the Azure race has recovered from his injuries? Su Fong was surprised. Then, he asked, Xianlin, did Sang Han contact you later? Venerable Xianlin hurriedly said, ever since that god was seriously injured by Master last time, he has been in seclusion in the sect and hasn't contacted me. Clearly, he doesn't take a small character like me seriously. It shouldn't be Sang Han. The possibility of it being the demon race isn't high either. The first Grand Elder should have something else to rely on. Xianlin, stay in the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect for the time being. Once there's news about Monster Emperor Qingyu or the higher-ups of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect, report to me immediately. Yes, Master. Chapter 1702. In Su Fong's heart, the green-feathered demon emperor's status was almost as important as his father, Su Fong. Su Fong had never treated him as a big goblin, but as a close elder. This time, it was because of Su Fong that the green-feathered demon emperor was being hunted down by the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. Even if Su Fong had something important to do, he had to temporarily suppress it and find the green-feathered demon emperor first. Fortunately, the green-feathered demon emperor's current strength was very impressive. He also had the talent of speed and space. It would definitely not be easy for the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect to capture him, so Su Fong wasn't too worried about him. Su Fong contacted his second essence soul and asked it to continue searching for the magic treasure fragments with Qi Yanzi before leaving the ruins. Under the constant detection of the Heavenly Mandate life shrinking technique, Su Fong couldn't capture the aura of the green-feathered demon emperor. Buzz buzz buzz. Su Fong used the ability of the Heavenly Mandate to peer into the secrets of the heavens to deduce the safety of the green-feathered demon emperor. In the end, the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect didn't show that the green-feathered demon emperor would be in any danger. Only then did Su Fong's heart calm down. He followed the cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect from afar and headed towards the depths of the chaotic spacetime outside the chaotic sky great world. About 10 days later, the voice of Venerable Xianlin came from his essence soul. Master, I just received news from the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect. They found the whereabouts of the big goblin of the rock race. They found Senior Green Feather? Su Fong was surprised. Logically speaking, it was unlikely for the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect to capture the traces of the green-feathered demon emperor in such a short period of time. In order to search for the treasures of the Cloud Heaven Holy Land this time, the sect specially invited a peak high-level Dao realm powerhouse from a faction called the Cloud-Piercing sect from another immortal realm. This person has a cloud-piercing mystic feathered eagle that has almost reached the height of a demon saint. Not only is his speed astonishing, but he also has a very powerful eye. Therefore, it was easy for the Heavenly Mandate sect to find the big goblin of the rock race. Su Fong's heart sank. Where is he now? How is the situation? Master, don't worry for the time being. The Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect did not capture Master's friend from the Rock Clan. The big goblin of the Rock Clan fled into the sky's sacred ground under the encirclement of the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect's experts. Senior Qingyu escaped into the Cloud Heaven's sacred ground? Su Fong was startled and startled. His heart was in suspense. Jiu Zhen Jiu Yang Chapter 1721. The sudden appearance of the Cloud Heaven's sacred ground was most likely related to Huang Lingyao. If the green-feathered demon emperor escaped into the Cloud Heaven's sacred ground and encountered Huang Lingyao, who knew what kind of danger he would face? Su Fong hurriedly asked. The Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect has been trying to open up a passageway into the sky's sacred ground all these years. What's the result? Our sect has joined forces with other forces, and we've already entered the outer layer of the mist and reached the cloud heaven's sacred ground. However, the interior of the cloud heaven's sacred ground is fraught with danger, and it is difficult for the sex experts to enter. The big goblin of the Rock clan used his innate spatial ability to escape into the depths of the cloud heaven's sacred ground. The sex experts are unable to do anything to him for the time being. Let's go to the sky's sacred ground. Su Fang immediately made a decision and released Bai Ling from the time and space cave abode. Bai Ling was already on the verge of breaking through to the demon saint realm. Not only did she have strength, but she also had the power of chaos. In this chaotic spacetime, other cultivators and the big goblin were shackles, but to her it was like a fish in water. Whoosh! Bai Ling flew in a strange arc in the chaotic spacetime and disappeared into the void. Cloud heaven's sacred ground. Hundreds of thousands of cultivators gathered outside, and they were all experts with extraordinary strength. All of them were like hungry wolves attracted by a fat piece of meat. They looked at the cloud heaven's sacred ground with eyes that flickered with vigor. Unfortunately, the outer layer of the cloud heaven's sacred ground was filled with layers of mist. Even immortal supremacy experts might not return after entering, so not many dared to take the risk and enter. The heavenly mandate, Haotsong sect, and other forces had already opened up a passageway in the mist. They had also created a powerful array formation to stabilize the passageway and connect it to the interior of the cloud heaven's sacred ground. However, the entrance of the passageway was guarded by the experts of the heavenly mandate, Haotsong sect. Apart from the heavenly mandate, Haotsong sect, and a few other forces, no one else could enter. Therefore, these cultivators could only watch helplessly as they cursed the heavenly mandate, Haotsong sect, countless times in their hearts. Whoosh! A white figure shuttled out of the chaotic void. After circling in the air, it flew directly toward the entrance of the passageway. Everyone's attention was attracted to that direction. It's actually a crane demon? This crane demon actually wants to enter the cloud heaven's sacred ground. Isn't he afraid of being suppressed by the heavenly mandate Haotsong sect? While everyone was discussing, the crane demon arrived at the entrance of the passageway. This crane demon is quite bold. He actually came to us. The heavenly mandate Haotsong sect cultivators were not surprised. They wondered if there was something wrong with this crane demon's head. The person guarding the entrance of the passageway was a heavenly mandate Haotsong sect Grand Elder. He instantly beamed. A crane demon that's close to the demon saint level? It's rare to see a crane demon that can grow to such a level in the great world. I just happen to be lacking amount, so this crane demon is very suitable. The crane-type big goblin was a very common big goblin in the great world. Furthermore, they were not very powerful. Usually, after being shackled by immortals, they would be reared in caves or dojos for ornamental purposes. A crane demon that could reach the peak of the Demon Emperor level was almost impossible to find in the great world. If one could have such a mount, it would naturally be something to be proud of. You want to ride this fairy? In the three realms, apart from my little brother, who dares to touch me? This crane demon was naturally Bai Ling. Her words were easily misunderstood, and immediately caused many cultivators to roar with laughter. The heavenly mandate Haotsong sect Grand Elder chuckled. If your little brother can ride you, then I can naturally ride you as well. However, I prefer to ride young and beautiful women. I don't have much interest in Big Goblin. After you transform into a human, if you're beautiful enough, I might consider it. The 100 or so heavenly mandate Haotsong sect cultivators at the entrance of the passageway laughed without restraint. You're courting death. Only then did Bai Ling realize that she had said something wrong. She was instantly enraged. She opened her mouth and spat out the mixed gold chaos ring. It suddenly expanded to 3 meters in size and flew toward the Grand Elder. What kind of Tao artifact is this? The Grand Elder's eyes were sharp. He could tell at a glance that the chaos ring was extraordinary. He was instantly shocked and activated a peak supreme grade flying sword. Boom, boom, boom. The chaos ring circle swept across and hit the flying sword, causing a huge tremor. The flying sword was like a piece of tofu. After a series of cracks, it turned into a large number of particles. What a terrifying Tao artifact! The Grand Elder was dumbfounded. He was sent flying by the chaos ring and spat out a mouthful of blood. The other heavenly mandate, Hao Tsang sect cultivators, were also incomparably shocked. What a formidable crane demon! Everyone, go and suppress it! The Grand Elder shouted coldly and issued an order to the other cultivators. You think I'm afraid just because you have more people? Bai Ling sneered disdainfully and then shouted loudly, Brother, someone's bullying your sister. Why aren't you coming out to help? Swoosh! A lotus-shaped Tao artifact that bloomed with rainbow light flew out from the feathers on Bai Ling's head. As it rapidly expanded, a figure flew out from it. This is your little brother? He actually likes to ride Big Goblin. His taste is really heavy. The heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect elder first mocked and ridiculed. Then, like a chicken that had its neck grabbed, he let out a strange cry of shock and fear. His face turned ghastly pale in an instant. Su Fang! That's Su Fang! Su Fang actually came to the cloud heaven's sacred ground too. The heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivators at the entrance of the passage and the cultivators from the other forces in the distance gasped at the same time when they saw the face of the cultivator beside Bai Ling. Those heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivators instantly felt as if they had fallen into an ice hole. Waves of coldness ran through their bodies, and they trembled uncontrollably. Su Fang looked at the Grand Elder indifferently. What did you just say? This Grand Elder, whose strength had reached the high-level Tao realm, was actually trembling non-stop at this moment. He was so frightened that his teeth kept chattering and he could not even speak a complete sentence. Slap yourself 100 times and I'll spare your life, Su Fang said indifferently. You actually humiliated me like this? Flames of anger burned in the Grand Elder's eyes after being humiliated like this. However, in the next moment, he thought of Su Fang's ruthless methods and incomparably powerful strength. Killing a high-level Tao realm expert like him was as easy as killing a chicken. The anger in his heart instantly disappeared. What kind of danger had he not experienced before being able to cultivate to the high-level Tao realm? What kind of humiliation had he not endured? Compared to his life, what was a little humiliation? My mouth is cheap and my words are rude. I deserve to die for offending this fairy. Please forgive me, fairy. As the first elder spoke, he raised his palms and slapped his face with both hands. Pa, pa, pa. Every slap was like a slap to the hearts of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivators. They were all frightened. A simple sentence made the Grand Elder of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect have no choice but to slap himself in the face. How domineering and powerful! The left side of your face is not swollen enough. Use more strength. Not bad, that's it. Bai Ling had already transformed into her human form and had already put away the chaos ring. She smiled as she watched the Grand Elder torture himself. Then, she pointed at the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect cultivators and said, They all mocked sister just now. Should we cut off all their tongues? Swoosh. The cultivators of the heavenly fate Hao Tsang sect shuddered as their faces turned even paler. At this moment 2 cultivators flew out and cupped their fists at Su Fang at the same time. One of them said, Brother Su, on account of our past relationship, let these fellow disciples go. Lu Yuetian. The person who spoke was someone Su Fang was familiar with. He was one of the top 10 disciples of the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect, Lu Yuetian. The other person was no stranger to Su Fang. It was Dao Xiantian, who had a conflict with Su Fang before. He did not expect the 2 of them to also come to the sky's sacred ground. Chapter 1703. Su Fang was not a bloodthirsty person, Jiuzhen Jiyang Chapter 17:22. It was the heavenly fate bright firmament sect that held a grudge against him, not the cultivators of the heavenly fate bright firmament sect. Lu Yuetian and Dao Xiantian had risked their lives to fight the demon tribe during the Great War of the Immortals and Demons. Su Fang's impression of them had changed a lot. Su Fang naturally felt a little apologetic for humiliating them. "Thank you, Brother Su." Lu Yuetian and Dao Xiantian cupped their fists gratefully. Both of them were proud people, unlike the Great Elder. If they were humiliated in public, not only would they lose face, their Dao heart would be affected too, and their cultivation in the future would be affected. Both of them were grateful to Su Fang, but they sighed in their hearts at the same time. When Su Fang first came to the heavenly fate bright firmament sect, they looked down on him because he was just a country bumpkin from the desolate celestial realm. Dao Xiantian even had a conflict with Su Fang because of his sister. He even wanted to kill Su Fang. Only a few years had passed, but Su Fang had already become a supreme existence that they had to look up to. They did not even have the right to be jealous of Su Fang. How could they sigh? Su Fang asked the Great Elder, "The big goblin of the Pung tribe that you are chasing has entered the heavenly fate bright firmament sacred ground?" The Great Elder had already slapped Lu Yuetian 100 times. He stood there respectfully. He quickly responded when he heard Su Fang's question, "Yes. Sister Bai, let's go." Su Fang withdrew Bai Ling into the true dragon world and entered the passage. The cultivators of the heavenly fate bright firmament sect heaved a sigh of relief. However, their hearts were filled with helplessness and humiliation. When Su Fang destroyed the supreme sacred sect, he had used the yellow spring blood sea to destroy a sect. How terrifying was his strength! If Su Fang wanted to kill them, it would be a piece of cake. He did not kill them not because Su Fang was merciful. How could such a person be merciful when he did not even blink when he devoured a sect? It was because Su Fang did not kill them at all. In Su Fang's bright firmament sect, they were like adults who encountered a group. They might accidentally kill a few ants, but they would not be so as to kill every single ant. They were 9 worlds 9 suns. In Su Fang's translation, they were like adults who had encountered ants. Translation 9 Su Fang words translation. Sometimes, being Fang 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 translation being, sometimes translation the cultivators were translation Lu Ming cultivators translation was Fang translation what was an expert a single sentence was enough to make the Great Elder of the number 1 power of the immortal Tao slap himself in the face. This was a true expert, a true domineering aura. Fang Fang. Fang the Elder Gre Elder. Sect. When he was slapping himself, he was afraid that Su Fang would not be satisfied. Thus, every slap was real and did not dare to use his true chi to resist. Now, both sides of his face were swollen like steamed buns, and his old face looked like a pig's head. How could he not hate him? "How dare you humiliate me like this? I'm going to kill you." The elder flipped his hand and took out a talisman. His eyes were cold. Cloud heaven's sacred ground. Mountains, rivers, and forests covered the entire material continent, which was thousands of miles in radius. It was full of spirit chi. The sky sacred ground looked like a dojo mystic realm. However, danger lurked everywhere in this vast territory. The heavenly mandate bright firmament sect and other powerful cultivators had finally opened up a passage through the outer clouds and mist and arrived at the cloud heaven's sacred ground's material continent. At that time, a mid-stage Tao realm cultivator impatiently flew out and wanted to be the first to enter the palace in the center of the cloud heaven's sacred ground. Who knew that a terrifying power of the world would shackle this mid-stage Tao realm cultivator? Then, a sharp lightning sword chi enveloped him. After a series of thunderous booms, this person turned into ashes and dissipated. There were still people who did not give up and tried to fly in the sky. However, there were floating immortal clouds everywhere in the sky. It was inevitable that they bumped into a cluster of immortal clouds. In the end, these seemingly ordinary immortal clouds caused this early-stage Tao realm cultivator to fall into a strange illusory spacetime and disappear. If one wanted to enter the palace in the center, they could only walk on the ground. Every step on the ground was dangerous. There were all kinds of traps and attacks formed by array formations everywhere. The Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect and other powerful cultivators paid the price of more than 10 cultivators' lives, and hundreds of people went missing. Only then did they advance more than 50 miles. The Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect had mobilized more than 1,000 powerful cultivators this time. The leader was Tao Master Han Su. The sect master could not manage the affairs of the sect until now. This time, the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect not only wanted to obtain Mother Yun's inheritance, but they also wanted to move the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground to the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect and make it the 82nd dojo of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect. This would replenish the sect's providence and boost the already low morale at the same time. Buzz. Tao Master Han Su raised his eyebrows and took out a talisman from his storage ring. What? The Su Fang has appeared, and is about to enter the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground? Tao Master Han Su's expression changed as he deciphered the information in the talisman. The cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect all trembled uncontrollably. The cultivators from the other factions were startled too. The Su Fang. A black-robed elder beside Tao Master Han Su raised his eyebrows and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. This elder was tall and his face was gloomy. However, his eyes were extremely sharp and his aura was extremely dangerous. He was like a ferocious bird. Furthermore, this elder's aura was even more profound than Tao Master Han Su's. He was a peerless cultivator at the peak of the advanced Tao realm. He's just a traitor disciple. Why are you so nervous? The black-robed elder's lips curled into a disdainful sneer. Traitor disciple? Just a traitor. Cloud-piercing elder, you make it sound so easy. Even our first supreme elder is wary of him. How can I not be afraid of him? Tao Master Han Su smiled bitterly and his eyes were filled with fear. This black-robed elder was the cloud-piercing sect's ancestor. He was a peerless cultivator at the peak of the advanced Tao realm. He had been in closed-door cultivation for millions of years and had just come out. As he was skilled in the great Tao of space and possessed an extremely powerful cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle, he was not afraid of the fog and formations in the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Thus, he was specially invited by the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect. The outside world has boasted about the power of the Su Fang, but I don't believe it. If he really comes to the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground, I would like to have a fight with him. The cloud-piercing elder was obviously a battle-hungry person. When he heard that the Su Fang was about to come, not only was he not fearful, he even looked eager to fight. Tao Master Han Su smiled bitterly again and quickly took out a talisman and crushed it without hesitation. Chi. A beam of purple light shot into the sky and disappeared into the void, as if it had become one with the world. Just as he finished doing that, a Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect cultivator suddenly exclaimed, Su Fang, it's Su Fang indeed. A figure shuttled out of the passage created by the formation and stepped onto the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground material continent. Su Fang. The cultivators of the Heavenly Mandate Bright Firmament sect and other forces were extremely nervous. However, their escape route was blocked by Su Fang, and there were dangerous restrictions in front of them and in the air. Where could they escape to now? Whoosh! Su Fang flew into the air and flew toward the cultivators. He dares to fly in the air? He's really courting death. There are so many of us, but we don't dare to fly in the air. Why doesn't he think about it? How can there be no danger in the air? I didn't expect him to be an idiot with such a great reputation. Many of the cultivators were not surprised. Next, some of them ridiculed Su Fang, waiting to see a good show. If Su Fang were to fall into the fog or be killed by other restrictive spells, that would be a pleasant surprise. Under countless gazes, Su Fang flew slowly in the air. His eyes flickered with an ethereal and mysterious light. It was as if there were no secrets in the world under his gaze. His body was also shrouded by the divine power of the heavenly divination mystic solution. At the same time, he activated his perfection stage ability to the extreme. Su Fang clearly sensed the hidden restrictions in the cloud heaven's sacred ground. Moreover, he used the heavenly divination mystic solution's supreme ability, the heavenly divination eye. Even if there were dangers that he could not see, he could foresee them in advance. In this state, Su Fang bypassed the restrictions everywhere. The divine clouds floating in the sky were actually illusionary fog created by the array formation. Once one fell into it, they would lose their sense of direction and be transported to an unknown time and space in the end. As there were too many divine clouds, Su Fang could not avoid them. However, under the detection of the perfection stage ability and the heavenly divination life shrinking technique, a mere fog could not confuse him at all. Naturally, he could easily escape from it. This scene, the cultivators of the Tianming Haotsong sect and the peerless experts from the other sects were all dumbfounded. Even the arrogant ancestor of the Cloud Crossing sect was in disbelief. Just like that, Su Fang flew unhurriedly. It only took him 15 minutes to cross the distance of more than 50 kilometers and arrive above the cultivators of the Tianming Haotsong sect. Lord Tao Master Han Su, we meet again. Su Fang looked down like a god overlooking the common people on the earth. Su Fang, Tao Master Han Su felt bitter. Back then, he was the high and mighty Grand Elder, while Su Fang was just a disciple. Now that their positions had swapped and even their lives were in the hands of Su Fang, one could imagine how Tao Master Han Su felt. Su Fang said majestically, "Tao Master Han Su, you've always been fair among the Grand Elders of the Tianming Haotsong sect and I, Su Fang, have always respected you. However, you led the experts of the sect this time to hunt down my friends and I have no choice but to attack you." Tao Master Han Su nodded and said, "I'm the Grand Elder of the Tianming Haotsong sect and you're a strong enemy of the sect. You and I are mortal enemies now and naturally, we have to fight to the death." Su Fang's eyes exuded traces of murderous intent. Suddenly, a roar came from the palace in the center of the sky's sacred ground. It was the voice of the green-feathered demon emperor. Su Fang's divine light changed instantly, and he ignored the cultivators of the Tianming Haotsong sect and was about to fly toward the central area. However, at this moment, Chapter 1704. Chapter 1723. The heavenly fate Haotian sect moves out. The cloud-piercing progenitor separated his palms after performing a hand seal. A dark mist burst out from his palms and instantly shrouded the area within 100 li. 9 Truths and 9 Suns. Chapter 1723. Whoosh! A black claw print burst out from the black mist with an overwhelming aura. It grabbed at Su Fang with an aura of the laws that could tear the heavens and earth apart. Heavenly Yellow Tyrant Dragon Claw. Su Fang unleashed his dragon chi. His right arm swiftly transformed into the form of a dragon. Following this, a giant golden claw print over 100 zhang long shuddered in the air. The claw print was as quick as lightning. Not only was it able to crush anything, it even shattered space and the laws of laws. It collided with the black claw print unleashed by the cloud-piercing progenitor. Bang! An enormous bang that shook the heavens resounded, and it shook the entire sky-hallowed grounds to the point of trembling abruptly. Countless restrictions and formations were activated, and they erupted with lightning and sword chi that were dense like raindrops. The golden claw print and the black claw print shattered at the same time. They were evenly matched. Impressive indeed, but it's not enough to be smug in front of me. You must be in a hurry to save that rock, right? By the time you arrive, He'll most likely be torn to pieces by my cloud-piercing feathered eagle. You won't be able to save him even if you go there. Why don't you stay here and fight me?" The great ancestor of the cloud-piercing sect smiled sinisterly. He urged the black clouds to churn for a while before another claw struck out. "You're asking for it." The green-feathered demon emperor was in a critical moment. Su Fang was burning with anxiety and didn't want to kill him. However, this black-robed old man was entangling with him at this moment, which completely aroused Su Fang's killing intent. The yin-yang Dao wheel suddenly trembled, and suddenly a suction force burst out, pulling all the Jin Qi and energy in his body into the world tree through the Yang meridian, using the yin-yang Dao wheel's power to operate the yin-yang Dao wheel. Bang! The force of the world of yin and yang burst out and swept across his flesh. The force of the world of yin and yang was unleashed, covering an area of over 3,000 zhang. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The eerie black claw print and the black mist formed by the cloud-piercing ancestors' divine might were all shattered and dissipated. Even the restrictions in this area were all shattered, and they were turned into nothingness without releasing any power. At this moment, Su Fang became the universe of heaven and earth. He was the master of everything in his own world. The Grandmaster of the Cloud Crossing sect, Holy Man Han Su, and the other cultivators felt as if the world had changed and they had completely lost their connection with nature. This feeling was as if he had arrived at another universe. All the supernatural powers that he had previously grasped, which were based on the power of nature and the laws of nature, were all difficult to perform. Su Fang carried the aura of a supreme ruler and arrived in front of the cloud-piercing ancestor in a flash. The great ancestor of the cloud-piercing sect turned pale with fright. He hurriedly exploded the genuine qi in his body in an attempt to escape the suppression of the Su Fang. However, without the essence of heaven and earth and the power of the stars, how much strength could he have left with just his own genuine qi? Su Fang grabbed the Grandmaster of the cloud-piercing sect by the neck as if he was grabbing a chicken. After ascending to the advanced level of the Tao realm, Su Fangda's perfect physical body and the power of his perfect physical body had also evolved. After his body became a world, it was extremely powerful. Not only did the divine might of the yin-yang world become stronger, it could also be maintained for a longer period of time. Its range had also reached 3,000 feet. The Grandmaster of the cloud-piercing sect's eyes were filled with shock and astonishment. He never thought that a peerless master at the peak of the advanced level of the Tao realm, one of the top existences in the greater world, would be reduced to a weakling in front of Su Fang. Amidst his shock and fear, a strong sense of regret surged in the Grandmaster of the cloud-piercing sect's heart. Have I been possessed? Why did I provoke this malefic star? Holy Man Han Su's heart was in turmoil. Advanced level of the Tao realm. Su Fang's strength has increased again. He can even easily suppress a peerless master. With his current strength, even without the help of other masters, he can probably fight head-on with the first Supreme Elder. Holy Man Han Su then felt a wave of bitterness in his heart. How many peerless masters have there been in the long history of the greater world? Not only did the sect not support and nurture him, but they also suppressed him and even wanted to suppress him. How can the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect not be destroyed? The other cultivators of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect and the other masters from the immortal realms were all extremely shocked. Here's the biscuit reading. Su Fang saw that the black-robed old man was not weak, so he planned to subdue him and make him his slave master. However, at this moment, the undead king's voice sounded from the sky-burying dark coffin. Master, can you give this person to me? Su Fang was stunned. Give him to you? If you devour him, will you be able to completely recover your previous strength? Master, I'm not going to devour his life force to increase my strength. Instead, I'm going to sacrifice his life force to the supreme evil god. In return, I'll be able to obtain a trace of the evil god's power as a reward. In this way, not only will I be able to recover to my previous peak strength, I might even be able to break through to the demigod realm, or even higher. Su Fang was shocked. Sacrifice? Why haven't I heard you mention this before? The undead lord replied, It was only after I recovered to the peak of the Tao realm that I received the guidance of the evil god and learned of this cultivation method. I'm guessing that it's not just me, but other resurrected masters who have reached the peak of the Tao realm also have this cultivation method. There's such an evil cultivation method? Luo Tsong's voice sounded from the blood jade. Only the evil masters of the myriad worlds have the supreme evil cultivation method of sacrificing life force. Of course you don't know about it. The evil god can obtain great power by absorbing the life force of the sacrifices, and the sacrificer can obtain the power bestowed by the evil god. It's basically a transaction. The undead king is sacrificing the life force of cultivators to the evil god to make the evil god stronger. Isn't this the same as funding the enemy? Luo Tsong laughed. Funding the enemy? You're still considered a master in the great world, but in front of the evil god of the divine realm, you're not even an ant. What right do you have to fund him? Don't worry, the life force of the undead king's sacrifice is insignificant to the evil god. It's dispensable, but the benefits the undead king will obtain are beyond your imagination. Su Fang couldn't help but laugh. The evil god could create a divine sun in the sky just by releasing its evil power. Compared to him, Su Fang was just too insignificant. Because the undead king's mind and consciousness were controlled by Night Demon's second primordial spirit, his previous peak state was the limit he could reach. There was no room for improvement. By sacrificing to the evil god, the undead king's future was limitless. He might even reach the divine realm. Moreover, with the undead king's mind and consciousness controlled, there was no need to worry about his betrayal in the future. Subduing this black-robed old man was just another master at the pinnacle. Moreover, with such a high level of cultivation, there was no guarantee that he wouldn't betray them in the future. After all, other than the king-grade Yin-Yang Immortal Sky Elixir, Su Fang couldn't come up with anything that could win the loyalty of such a powerful master. Rather than that, it was better to nurture the undead king. Su Fang didn't hesitate anymore. Cold, killing intent flashed in his eyes as he looked at the cloud-piercing Grandmaster. Submit! The black-robed old man finally showed fear and spat out 2 words from his throat with difficulty. Unfortunately, you're not qualified, Su Fang said coldly. He clenched his hand and a burst of yin-yang world power rushed into the cloud-piercing Grandmaster's dantian. It shattered his golden core and dantian and then stored them in the true dragon realm. Whoosh! Su Fang tore through the air and left. He didn't have time to pay attention to Tao Master Han Su and the other cultivators. The cultivators of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect, who were lucky enough to escape the calamity, only slowly recovered from their shock and fear when Su Fang disappeared from their sight. If the sect fails to kill Su Fang this time, it won't be long before it's completely destroyed. Tao Master Han Su muttered to himself, his eyes filled with worry. At this moment, outside the cloud heaven's sacred ground, rumble! Thunder rumbled in the sky. In an instant the entire sky darkened. The void high up in the sky seemed to be torn apart by the hand of the heavenly Tao. The outline of a huge formation surged out from it. Boom! A burst of world power suddenly descended into the chaotic void around the cloud heaven's sacred ground and covered a distance of 1,000 miles. The chaotic void was also suppressed by a majestic force. Everything within this range, including the objects, ruins, and a few unlucky cultivators, were instantly reduced to nothingness before they could even struggle. A large space formation descended. The divine power of the spatial distortion quickly dissipated, and the figures in the space formation quickly became real. The person in charge was the first supreme elder of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect. Behind him stood more than 100,000 cultivators, including the first supreme elder, the grand supreme elder, and the elders. the lord of the demon world and the demon race's holy son, Ming Yen, was also among the cultivators of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect. The Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect had created a huge space teleportation formation. Almost all of the sect's elite forces were mobilized to teleport directly from the central immortal territory to the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Just how much energy would it take to teleport so many cultivators at once? Just how much energy would it take to teleport them all at once? Even if a first-rate force in a great world added up all their assets, it would still be difficult to cover the huge cost of teleportation. In order to kill Su Fang, the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect did not hesitate to pay a heavy price this time. Swoosh! Swoosh! More than 100,000 Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect cultivators created a large space formation that surrounded the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Tao Master Han Su hurried over. "Greetings, First Supreme Elder. Where is Su Fang?" the First Supreme Elder asked imposingly. "Su Fang has already entered the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground in order to save that demonic rock." The First Supreme Elder raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "He entered the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground? Why didn't you stop him?" Chapter 1705. He ascended to the advanced Tao realm so quickly, and killed a peak Tao master in a second? Supreme First Elder's eyes flashed with a bright light, revealing a look of shock and fear. 9 True 9 Sons Chapter 1724. The dozen or so Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect's leaders and high-ranking officials beside First Supreme Elder gasped in shock. The Lord of the Demon World and Ming Yen were equally shocked. No matter how heaven-defying this boy is, he won't be able to escape his fate of being suppressed this time, First Supreme Elder said confidently. The others did not know where First Supreme Elder's confidence came from. Clearly, they were not as confident as him. They did not believe him, and were filled with fear and dread toward Su Fang. Even the Lord of the Demon World and Ming Yen were not confident. First Supreme Elder saw their expressions and snorted coldly. Then, he sent out a nascent soul message. "Patriarch, should we enter the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground and kill Su Fang?" An old man who was besieging the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground in the distance exuded an aura that was only at the 8 Paths Saint Celestial stage. Among the cultivators sent by the Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect, such a cultivation base was very ordinary and unremarkable. Moreover, he was ordered around by an elder and had a very low status. The voice of the First Supreme Elder's Yuan spirit was directed at this unassuming old man. "If I attack, I must kill him with one strike. Otherwise, if I attract the attention of the Heavenly Tao, not only will I die, but the entire Heavenly Mandate Haotsong sect will be doomed as well. This Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground is not simple. I can vaguely sense the aura of a deity. I'm afraid there will be some changes. Let's surround the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground first, so that Su Fang can't escape." First Supreme Elder was shocked. The Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground has the aura of a deity. Could it be the 2 deities by Su Fang's side? No, I've sensed Su Fang's presence earlier. There are indeed 2 deities' auras in this boy's body. One is only the nascent soul of the Azura clan, and the other is extremely weak. I can barely sense it. It should be the God World expert who went by the name of Jihong and came from the lower realm. That God World expert can be ignored. The main thing is the Azura clan. The Azura clan is God Azura clan. They are Azura gods. Although they are only nascent souls, they will still be my enemy. The gods, the God World experts, the worlds, the experts. The strange thing is, the aura words, the aura of the realms, that is the God World's origin realm, origin. She mother, she. Mother Cloud Mother is Mother Mother Yun Cloud translation Earth translation Cloud translation Earth Cloud. The First Supreme Elder was shocked once again. Whether they could kill Su Fang or not was related to the survival of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect. Although the First Supreme Elder was confident, he did not dare to be careless. He personally arranged the troops and took out his trump card Tao artifact. He even took out the Grand Brilliance Bell to create layers of powerful array formations outside the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect. Inside the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect, Su Fang naturally did not know what was happening outside. Even if he knew, he would not care about the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect because he was worried about the safety of the Green Feather Demon, the Arch. It was only a few thousand miles from the edge of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect to the palace in the central area. If it was natural, Su Fang could reach it in a flash. However, this was the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect. Although Su Fang could sense and see through the restrictions and traps, his speed was also affected. It took him 5 minutes to reach the central area. The central area. It was filled with ethereal and ever-changing immortal fog. Through the immortal fog, one could see the palaces and pavilions inside, as well as the fake mountains and flowing water. It was so beautiful that it was like a miracle. However, Su Fang could sense the great danger hidden under the beautiful appearance through the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking Technique and the Heavenly Divination Mystic Solution. These clouds and mist were just illusions that could deceive the senses of immortals and even make them lose their essence, spirit consciousness. It was extremely powerful. Su Fang also sensed that there was an extremely terrifying thunder element power rolling and roaring under the beautiful clouds and mist illusion. There were also existences that did not look like living beings. They contained terrifying thunder element power, which made Su Fang feel apprehensive. Su Fang was skilled and bold. In addition, he was eager to save the Green Feather Demon, the Arch. Why would he care about these dangers? He used the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking Technique to capture the Green Feather Demon Thearka's aura. I am Biensi. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The Tao runes of the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking Technique immediately flashed out from the depths of his divine aperture and miraculously merged together to form the image of the Green Feather Demon, the Arch. Over there. Su Fang caught the Green Feather Demon Thearka's aura of destiny and was instantly overjoyed. He immediately went straight to where the Green Feather Demon, the Arch, was. Suddenly, buzz, buzz, buzz. Su Fang had just rushed into the immortal mist, and the Tao runes of the Heavenly Fate Life Shrinking Technique actually caused a huge commotion again. There was a very strong, very clear, and familiar aura in these Tao runes. After a portion of the Tao runes merged together, it turned into the image of a woman. Huang Lingyao. Huang Lingyao is indeed from the cloud sky sacred ground. Su Fangdao was shocked that his previous guess was confirmed. In such a short time, Huang Lingyao has actually advanced to the early stage of the Tao realm. It's simply unbelievable. No wonder she has the Tao body and is a peerless genius who has merged with the cloud sky thunder sword. However, compared to me, she is too weak. The Huang Lingyao that I used to look up to is now far behind me. While Su Fang was shocked, he smiled proudly, and a strong sense of confidence arose spontaneously. It could be said to be a miracle that Huang Lingyao could advance to the early stage of the Tao realm in just a few thousand years. Just the Tao body and the cloud sky thunder sword were obviously not enough. She must have received the inheritance of the cloud sky sacred ground or obtained some other great opportunity or great fortune. However, compared to Su Fang, Huang Lingyao's achievements were far from enough. Although there were only 2 steps between the early stage of the Tao realm and the advanced stage of the Tao realm, it was actually like the gap between heaven and earth. Not only did it require a long time to settle down, talent, luck, cultivation techniques, and Tao heart were all indispensable. Moreover, Su Fang was at the advanced stage of the Tao realm. He was not someone that could be compared to those of the same level. No matter how Huang Lingyao tried to catch up, it would be difficult for her to catch up to Su Fang's pace. Huang Lingyao, after rescuing Senior Qingyu, I will also completely settle all the previous grudges. Su Fang's eyes exuded coldness as he passed through the clouds and mist. In an instant, everything that was seen and heard by the eyes outside changed. This place was an extraterritorial space. The entire space was filled with rolling dark clouds. The only source of light was the flashes of lightning that flashed across the sky. In the sea of clouds, there were occasionally monsters flashing with lightning. They shuttled back and forth in the sea of clouds, revealing a violent aura. Some of the monsters had reached the advanced stage of the Tao realm, which made Su Fang extremely wary. In the center of the dark clouds, a huge palace stood in the center, giving people a feeling that the sky was shaking. Bolts of lightning fell from the void, bathing the entire palace in lightning. It was extremely gorgeous and gave people a strong visual impact. The aura of the Qingyu Demon Emperor and Huang Lingyao were both in the palace flashing with lightning. This is the true face of the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Cloud Mother was also a supreme expert to be able to create the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. After a moment of amazement, Su Fang activated the power of the yin-yang world to form a layer of protection. At the same time, the power of the yin-yang world also isolated him from the outside world. Whoosh! Su Fang was like an arrow released from a bow, shuttling through the sea of clouds and lightning. The bolts of lightning were like the whips of the thunder god, fiercely whipping Su Fang. However, when they touched the protection of the power of the yin-yang world on Su Fang, they were disintegrated by the power of the yin-yang world and finally turned into nothingness. As Su Fang concealed his aura, the thunder-type monsters could not sense his existence. Except for a few that were directly killed by Su Fang with the underworld Samsara sword and dissipated into lightning, the other thunder-type monsters were not alarmed. After a dozen breaths, Su Fang successfully arrived at the entrance of the palace. Senior Qingyu. Su Fang could not help but exclaim when he saw the green-feathered demon emperor in the center of the palace. The main hall of the Thunder Palace was extremely large, about 10,000 feet in size, like a void world. In the palace there was a lifelike statue of a woman. Her face was extremely beautiful, revealing a heroic and domineering aura that ordinary women did not have. There was a mysterious pattern of lightning piercing through the clouds between her eyebrows. Her eyes were extremely deep, and there were faint flashes of lightning in them. Although it was only a statue, it gave off a huge pressure, making people want to prostrate themselves in worship and submit to the woman's skirt. The green-feathered demon emperor, who had transformed into a huge green rock, lay in the center of the palace. His body was covered with burn marks from the thunder and lightning. A large number of feathers had fallen off, revealing shocking scars. The most serious injury was his heart, where a sharp claw had scratched out a wound of more than 10 feet long. His flesh and blood had burst open, revealing his heart, and blood was constantly spurting out. Not far from the green-feathered demon emperor sat a black-robed man with a deep and wild demonic aura. It was the cloud-piercing feathered eagle. Secondly, it was seriously injured. There was a bloody claw mark from its forehead to its mouth, and one of its eyeballs was hanging on its face. It looked very ferocious. The green-feathered demon emperor and the cloud-piercing feathered eagle were not the only ones in the palace. There were more than 30 cultivators. Judging from their robes and auras, most of them were from the Tianming Haotsang sect. There were more than 20 of them, and the rest were experts from the 8 forces. These cultivators surrounded the green-feathered demon emperor and the cloud-piercing feathered eagle in the center, forcing the 2 peerless big goblin to submit. When these people entered the periphery of the sky's sacred ground to search for treasures, they were lost in the heavy fog. They did not expect to appear here and join forces to deal with the green-feathered demon emperor and the cloud-piercing feathered eagle. Hearing Su Fang's voice, the cultivators all looked at the door. A Tianming Haotsang sect cultivator recognized Su Fang, and his expression changed instantly. Su Fang, he's Su Fang. At the same time, Su Fang. Chapter 1706. Su Fang strode into the main hall and came to the side of the green-feathered demon emperor. 9 True 9 Yang. Chapter 1725. Those cultivators were intimidated by Su Fang's reputation and involuntarily retreated. No one dared to stop him. The remaining eye of the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle, which had transformed into a black-robed cultivator, flashed with a sharp light as it carefully sized up Su Fong. This demon had a special eye talent and could see that Su Fong's strength had reached the advanced stage of the Tao realm. Such strength, whether in the world of the immortal path, the demon world, or the devil world, could be regarded as a peerless expert. However, a hint of disdain flashed in the deep eyes of the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle. It was actually Su Fong's disdain. The cloud-piercing feathered eagle also sensed that Su Fong's body contained boundless vitality and yang qi. Greed appeared in his eyes, but he had no intention of attacking for the time being. "Senior, are you all right?" Seeing that the green-feathered demon emperor was so severely injured, Su Fong's heart twitched, and his eyes exuded a trace of coldness. "I won't die for the time being. Kid, you're finally willing to show up. If you didn't show up, I would have really lost my life here." Although the green-feathered demon emperor was seriously injured, he was still arrogant and domineering. At this time, the cloud-piercing feathered eagle laughed and said, "Although I won't die for the time being, after a while, not only you but also this kid will either be suppressed by the master of the cloud heaven's sacred ground or devoured by me and become nutrients for my recovery." Su Fong's divine light swept across the cloud-piercing feathered eagle and smiled indifferently. He did not take this demon seriously at all. Even the cloud-piercing feathered eagle's master, cloud-piercing ancestor, had been suppressed by Su Fong and was now shackled in the true dragon world. Soon, he would become a sacrifice for the undead king to the evil god. Why would Su Fong care about him? "Senior, open your mouth." Su Fong threw a king-grade yin-yang immortal sky elixir into the green-feathered demon emperor's mouth. "Brat, why are you so stingy this time? You actually only gave me one yin-yang immortal vast pellet." "Ah, this pellet. It's a king-grade yin-yang immortal vast pellet." The king-grade yin-yang immortal sky pellet was not an ordinary pellet. The green-feathered demon emperor was currently in a severely injured state. If he was given too much, it would be difficult for him to completely digest the medicinal strength. As soon as the king-grade yin-yang immortal sky elixir entered his mouth, Demon Emperor Greenfeather immediately felt the amazing medicinal efficacy, which ignited the demon chi and life force in his body. His extremely withered spirit suddenly became hale and hearty, and his demon chi and life force were rapidly recovering. "Brat, what kind of pills are those? Give them all to this emperor, and this emperor might be happy and let you off this time." The cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle's domineering voice rang out. "You're courting death." Su Fong coldly glanced at the cloud-piercing eagle and sneered disdainfully. The cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle said sinisterly, "Arrogant human brat, since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame this emperor for being ruthless later." Su Fong no longer paid attention to this arrogant big goblin. His cold eyes looked into the depths of the palace, and the corners of his mouth raised, revealing a mocking smile. "Senior Sister Huang Lingyao, I didn't expect us to meet again. You and I are really fated." "Su Fong." Huang Lingyao's voice came from the depths of the palace. The grudge between the two was too deep. It was impossible for Huang Lingyao not to hate Su Fong. Thinking back to when she was in the small world of the Celestial Sealing Sect, what was Su Fong? But she, Huang Lingyao, was the proud daughter of heaven of the Celestial Sealing Sect. She was high and mighty, and could crush Su Fong with a finger. In the great world, Huang Lingyao relied on her own stunning talent to become the proud daughter of heaven of the White Sun sect of the Heavenly Tao. At that time, Su Fong was just a lowly disciple of the constellation of 9 heavens with a different surname, just like a servant. However, in the end, their identities and statuses quickly underwent an earth-shattering change. Su Fong rose rapidly, and soon became a peerless powerhouse whose name shook the world. And although Huang Lingyao was still a proud daughter of heaven, she was thousands of miles away from Su Fong. What made Huang Lingyao feel the greatest shame of her life was that Su Fang disguised himself as the gold-faced young master. She was like a lowly woman, currying favor with Su Fang. She even almost gave her body to Su Fang, and was taken advantage of by Su Fang. Every time she thought of the scene of Su Fang grabbing her sensitive parts, Huang Lingyao would wake up from a nightmare, and her heart would twitch. This matter became a knot in her heart, and after that, even her cultivation was shackled. In the end, Huang Lingyao had no choice but to leave the immortal domain like a stray dog. With such a deep hatred, how could Huang Lingyao not grit her teeth and hate Su Fang? Now that they met again, Huang Lingyao thought of that humiliating scene again, and her chest hurt again. She felt like she was being ruthlessly ravaged by ghost claws. At this time, Su Fang no longer had a trace of hatred for Huang Lingyao, but a kind of disdain and contempt in his heart. He then mocked and ridiculed, "Senior sister Huang Lingyao, why don't I see Lord Long? I thought you would be together with him." Huang Lingyao said fiercely, "Who does Lord Long count for? He's just a stepping stone for me to reach the peak of the great world, and he's the most insignificant kind. After leaving the heavenly mandate Hao Tsang sect, I devoured him, and his draconic qi became my powerful nutrient. What a merciless woman! When Lord Long was useful to her, she would use all means to please and curry favor with him. When he was no longer useful, she would mercilessly devour him. However, when he thought about how Huang Lingyao could even devour her own sister, it did not seem incomprehensible that she would devour Lord Long. Then, Huang Lingyao's cold voice sounded again. "Not only Lord Long, but after a while, even you will become the nutrients for my cultivation, Huang Lingyao. I want you to use everything you have to repay the humiliation you brought me. Senior sister Huang Lingyao, you are so confident. I wonder what gives you the right to be so confident? I, Huang Lingyao, am now the master of the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. These experts in the main hall are all my slaves. Su Fang, no matter how extraordinary you are, now that you are trapped in the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground and facing so many peerless experts, let's see how big of a splash you can make." Huang Lingyao let out a burst of crisp laughter. She seemed extremely smug and happy, as though she was in control of the situation. Su Fang glanced at the more than 30 experts from the Heavenly Mandate, Hao Tsang sect, and the other forces in the main hall, and raised his eyebrows. Senior sister Huang Lingyao is indeed worthy of possessing a Tao body. At the same time, she also possesses supreme providence to be able to obtain the inheritance of the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Moreover, her methods are so extraordinary that she can easily control so many experts. The Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang sect is just a springboard for me. I'm only relying on the powerful force of the Heavenly Mandate Hao Tsang sect to find the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. I have merged with the Cloud Heaven Thunder Sword. As long as I find the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground, it won't be difficult for me to obtain the inheritance of Mother Yun. With the help of Mother Yun's supreme inheritance, I became a celestial venerable expert in just a few thousand years. Who in the great world can compare to me with such talent? I, Huang Lingyao, am definitely not a fish in a pond. I have been hibernating for thousands of years. Now is the time for me to soar into the sky. I controlled the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground to appear in the chaotic spacetime, outside the chaotic sky great world, with the purpose of attracting experts here. I'll use the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground to control a large number of experts and make them my slaves. At that time, I, Huang Lingyao, will also be able to become an overlord of the great world. What a joke! These so-called experts are blinded by greed. As soon as the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground appeared, they rushed into the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground like moths to a flame. Naturally, I captured them one by one and made them all my slave, including those peak Tao realm experts. As long as they enter the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground, none of them will be able to escape my suppression. Huang Lingyao's voice was domineering, and she was very proud. Su Fang could not help but admire this woman. This woman had providence, ambition, and talent. At the same time, she had an extremely ruthless Tao heart, as well as a rare boldness and domineering aura. This time, using the cloud heaven's sacred ground to suppress so many experts and establishing an overlord of the great world was not impossible. Su Fang, I heard from my slaves that you've been extremely glorious in the great world all these years. You're the #1 genius of the great world, the hero who saved the immortal Tao world, and the peerless expert who shook the heavenly fate Hao Tsang sect. TSK. How impressive. Even I am extremely shocked. Unfortunately, you're not lucky enough to enter the cloud heaven's sacred ground. You can only blame yourself for being too unlucky. After Huang Lingyao mocked Su Fang, let's completely settle the grudge between us today. Let me see if your so-called #1 genius of the great world, a peerless figure who can contend with a demigod expert, is just a boast, or have you really grown to this extent? As soon as the voice that was filled with murderous intent fell, Huang Lingyao immediately issued a cold order to more than 30 cultivators. Suppress him. Remember, don't kill him. Just shackle him. I want him to regret being born into this world. Here's reading biscuits. Su Fang smiled helplessly and touched the tip of his nose. It seems that Huang Lingyao's resentment towards me is not ordinary. At this moment, laughter came from the blood jade in his body. Who told you to take advantage of her but not be willing to take her into your harem? Retribution has come, hasn't it? Luo, that was unintentional, okay? I never thought of Huang Lingyao as a woman. Her tofu. I don't want to take advantage of her, Su Fang replied helplessly. Of the more than 30 cultivators controlled by Huang Lingyao in the main hall, the strongest was at the advanced stage of the Tao realm, and the weaker ones were at the beginner stage of the Tao realm. Such a force could completely establish a powerful force in the great world. The only shortcoming was that they did not have a peak expert. However, these people all looked at Su Fang with trembling expressions. After Huang Lingyao issued the order, they actually cowered and did not dare to step forward. Su Fang had made a name for himself in the battle where he destroyed the supreme sacred sect. At this moment, in the great world, the peak experts of the advanced stage of the Tao realm shuddered when they heard Su Fang's name. Among these cultivators, the strongest was only at the advanced stage of the Tao realm. Chapter 1707. Su Fang mocked, Senior Sister Huang Lingyao, your slaves don't seem to be very obedient. A bunch of trash. Huang Lingyao couldn't help but fly into a rage out of humiliation. Puff, the head of an early-stage Tao realm powerhouse, suddenly exploded, and his brain matter splattered everywhere. Huang Lingyao's murderous voice came from the depths of the palace. Those who don't obey my orders must all die. It turned out that Huang Lingyao had planted imprints in the divine apertures of these powerhouses. After being activated by her, she could easily kill these slaves. At this moment, she killed a venerable immortal so easily. From this, one could see how ruthless Huang Lingyao's methods were. Kill him. Under Huang Lingyao's strong coercion, the other cultivators didn't dare to hesitate and rushed towards Su Fang. I just happened to need some energy and life essence to replenish my previous consumption. Since Senior Sister Huang Lingyao has delivered herself to me, I will gladly accept all of them. Su Fang let out a domineering and incomparably cold laugh. When entering the Cloudland, Su Fang had fought with the cloud-piercing ancestor, which consumed a lot of energy. When entering this Thunder Hall, he once again used the divine power of the yin-yang world, which consumed more than half of his true qi and energy. Huang Lingyao delivered more than 30 powerhouses to him. How could Su Fang not accept them? As for whether Huang Lingyao's heart would bleed or not, that was none of Su Fang's business. He struck out a Xianguang and took the Cyan Feather Demon Emperor into the time and space cave. The next moment, whoosh, after quickly forming a seal, Su Fang activated the underworld golden body, which immediately collapsed. With a splash, blood rolled out in all directions, sweeping toward the more than 30 cultivators and the cloud-piercing feathered eagle on the ground. As the blood overflowed, it almost covered the entire hall. The terrifying reincarnation and devouring power enveloped the more than 30 venerable immortals. They had nowhere to run, so they unleashed all their strength, trying to shatter and evaporate the blood. Gui gui go! The blood water was shaken to the point of rolling. Su Fang felt a little overwhelmed after devouring so many powerhouses at the same time. He immediately released Gui Gui to help him share the burden. Chi! A stream of black blood shot out from the blood like a black python and coiled around the strongest Dao realm expert. The terrifying poison quickly corroded the man's defenses layer by layer, and then his flesh-fetus divine armor. After a series of miserable shrieks, this high-level Dao realm expert was melted into a pool of blood by Gui Gui's poison. Whoosh! Gui Gui was like a terrifying demon as he charged towards the other cultivators. How dare you take the initiative to attack me? Human brat, you're courting death. The cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle was also covered by the yellow spring blood sea, and it immediately let out a furious roar. An aura burst out from his body, releasing a powerful spatial distortion divine might, setting off a whirlwind that spiraled and whistled, forming a spatial divine might barrier around him. Boom! The yellow spring blood sea crashed into the barrier, causing it to shake. However, the whirlwind drew the blood water to one side, and the barrier was undamaged. This cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle's strength was close to that of a demon saint, which was about the same level as an ordinary high-level Dao realm cultivator. Although he was severely injured, the big goblin's innate ability was extraordinary. Su Fang's yellow spring blood sea could not do anything to him. You have some skills. No wonder you're so arrogant. But you don't have the right to be arrogant in front of me. Su Fang condensed from the blood water, and then used the Black Moon Demon Deterrence token. A divine might that made the big goblin tremble in fear was released from the Black Moon Demon Deterrence token. Although the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle was infinitely close to a demon saint, it was still not a demon saint. Su Fang's Black Moon Demon Deterrence token had a deterrent effect on all big goblins below the demon saint level, and the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle was no exception. However, it did not have much of an effect on him, only making his body tremble violently. What Su Fang needed was precisely this moment of opportunity. Boom! With a boom, a layer of white flames burned from the blood water. 9 Sun Celestial Fire. The 9 Sun Celestial Fire, which already had a certain level of divine flame characteristics, was extremely domineering. Coupled with the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle's divine might, a flaw had appeared due to the Black Moon Demon Deterrence token. Right now, the 9 Sun Celestial Fire was incinerating it layer by layer, and it looked like it was about to completely collapse. What a terrifying flame! Only then did the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle put away its previous arrogance and fall into a state of intense shock. Even your master, cloud-piercing ancestor, was suppressed by me. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? Go accompany your master. Boom! 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 Su Fang activated the Yellow Springs Blood Sea. The surging blood water was like a tsunami, carrying the blazing 9 Sun Celestial Fire as it pressed down on the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle. You're just an advanced Dao realm cultivator, yet you dare to boast about suppressing my master? Human brat, I'll let you witness this emperor's innate ability. The cloud-piercer dark-feathered eagle's remaining eye suddenly shot out a strand of dark light that condensed into a crescent moon. It carried a terrifying aura that seemed capable of tearing apart the heavens and the earth as it forcefully split the nether spring sea of blood into 2 halves, and then it slashed towards Su Fang like a bolt of lightning. A divine art released from the eye? What a coincidence, I know a little of it too. Su Fang smiled coldly, a wisp of fire suddenly burning in his eyes. The moment the light lit up, It traversed through space and landed in the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle's eye. Illusory fire, divine art, heaven-burning eye. The cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle saw a ball of flame suddenly explode, and then its remaining eye burst into flames with a boom. This demon already had one of its eyes destroyed by the green-feathered demon emperor, and now its remaining eye was burned by the flames of Su Fang's heaven-burning eye. No matter how fierce it was, it could not bear such intense pain, and after a miserable scream, it immediately fainted. And all this happened in a flash. When the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle was seriously injured and unconscious, the black crescent moon it released was still 3 feet away from Su Fang's head. At this moment, it lost control and immediately collapsed, turning into a black Xian Guang and dissipating. Boom! The surging yellow spring's blood sea instantly swallowed the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle. The terrifying power of the 9 suns' celestial fire, and the unparalleled devouring power of the yellow spring's blood sea quickly incinerated and swallowed this big goblin. A peerless big goblin that was infinitely close to becoming a demon saint had fallen. Su Fang unceremoniously refined the body of the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle, condensed the refined life essence into a ball of energy, and sent it to the side of the green-feathered demon emperor who was recovering in the cave of time. "Damn feathered beast, you also have such an ending?" the green-feathered demon emperor said fiercely and swallowed the ball of energy into his stomach. Bai Ling glared at the green-feathered demon emperor. "You green rock, you called the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle a feathered beast. Aren't you scolding yourself and me together?" The green-feathered demon emperor was startled at first, and then burst into laughter. "How delightful!" Then Su Fang gave the life essence of the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle to Bai Ling to devour. The cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle, like Bai Ling and the green-feathered demon emperor, were all flying big goblins. Devouring the life essence of the cloud-piercing black-feathered eagle was of great benefit to both the green-feathered demon emperor's recovery and Bai Ling's cultivation. In the main hall, in just the time it took for an incense stick to burn, more than 30 experts, all of whom were Dao realm experts, were devoured by Su Fang and Gui Gui. Su Fang shrank his blood and returned to his physical state. After devouring so many experts, Su Fang had almost recovered the energy and genuine qi that he had consumed before. However, the genuine qi in his golden core origin and the life force in his body had not increased much. After reaching the advanced level of the Dao realm, Su Fang's appetite had become bigger and bigger. Devouring ordinary Dao realm experts was of little help to his cultivation. Even the advanced level of the Dao realm experts were the same. It was good to use them to recover. Gui Gui did not reject anyone. More than half of the 30 celestial primes were devoured by it. Su Fang could not refine all of them at once. He put the corpses into his storage ring and stored them as cultivation resources. It would be good to give them to his big goblin to cultivate. "Su Fang, I must kill you. I will tear you into pieces and skin you alive." After a long silence in the depths of the palace, Huang Lingyao's voice, which sounded like it came from an icy plain, was heard. She had obtained Mother Yun's inheritance and broken through to the Dao realm. Then, she used the cloud heaven holy ground to control so many experts with great difficulty. She was ready to carry out her grand plan and establish her own unparalleled hegemony in the macro world. At this moment, more than 30 immortal venerables, all of whom were supremes among the immortals, were not some random Tom, Dick, or Harry. Yet, all of them were devoured by Su Fang without leaving a single trace behind. Huang Lingyao was not heartbroken. Instead, her heart was bleeding. Her anger toward Su Fang could burn the sky. Huang Lingyao was not only angry, but also shocked by Su Fang's powerful strength. This shock soon turned into jealousy. It was only now that she finally understood how powerful Su Fang was. She was more than 10 times more terrifying than what the experts under her described. She was so powerful that she needed to look up to her. Compared to Su Fang, the achievements that she was so proud of, what did they amount to? 9 truths and 9 sons. The huge contrast made Huang Lingyao involuntarily feel a strong sense of jealousy. What? Did I poke senior sister Huang Lingyao's sore spot? Since that's the case, why don't you do it yourself? Su Fang mocked. Of course, I have to suppress you personally. Otherwise, how can I calm my anger? Huang Lingyao had just finished speaking through gritted teeth when a rumble of thunder sounded in the main hall. Huang Lingyao appeared 1,000 feet away from Su Fang with a flash of lightning. It was a figure that could not be more familiar. Huang Lingyao. She was wrapped in a black fur coat. Lightning flashed around her, and her long hair danced with the lightning. She stood there coldly and proudly, merging with the world of the main hall. Chapter 1708. Huang Lingyao's aura became even more illusory, and Su Fang's perfected ability could sense that there were actually dragon shadows coiling within her aura. Different from the cultivation techniques of the Dragon Clan, these dragon shadows all carried lightning and were filled with a destructive aura. There were also faint clouds lingering around them, making them appear illusory, ethereal, and mysterious. Huang Lingyao. She was indeed not an ordinary woman. After devouring the Dragon Lord and merging with his dragon chi, she also received Mother Yun's inheritance and merged with the Yunxiao Thundersword, causing her aura to have an additional lightning element power. She looked like she had just stepped into the Dao realm, but Su Fang felt that her early-stage Dao realm was even more terrifying than an ordinary high-level Dao realm cultivator. If she had the Yunxiao Thundersword, even an ordinary high-level Dao realm cultivator would find it difficult to block her. Moreover, this was the core area of the Cloud Sky Sacred Ground. Huang Lingyao had received Mother Yun's inheritance and controlled the power of the Cloud Sky Sacred Ground. Her current strength was even more difficult to estimate. However, compared to Su Fang, all of this was nothing. Huang Lingyao. When we meet again, you probably never thought that there would be a day when I, Su Fang, would reach the point where you need to look up to me, right? Su Fang's lips curled up, revealing an inexplicable smile. Huang Lingyao's cold gaze swept across Su Fang as she said, "That's right. Your current height does indeed need me to look up to you. But so what? I, Huang Lingyao, am destined to be an extraordinary person. I can create extraordinary achievements. No matter how extraordinary you are, you can't escape the fate of being suppressed by me in the Cloud Sky Thunder Palace. The more extraordinary you are, the more help you will be to me. I will use you as a stepping stone to reach the peak of the great world." Huang Lingyao's voice was filled with dominance. Facing Su Fang, no one knew where her powerful confidence came from. Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit, suppress. After Huang Lingyao formed a seal, she raised her wrist and pointed at Su Fang. Roar rumble. A ferocious dragon roar erupted from Huang Lingyao's body, accompanied by a series of thunderous booms. As the clouds rolled and filled the air, a dragon shadow flickering with a purple and white crystal light appeared beside Huang Lingyao. As the dragon shadow circled, it rapidly grew to a size of 1,000 feet. Then, with a terrifying aura that could destroy everything in the world, the clouds and clouds, it descended from the sky like a thunder divine dragon. This was not a divine ability, but a lightning spirit that Huang Lingyao had obtained from the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground's inheritance. Thunder Spirit. Within the violent lightning, a strange life form was formed. It could also be considered a spiritual body, but it was 100 times, or even 10,000 times stronger than an ordinary spiritual body. Moreover, Huang Lingyao's lightning dragon cloud spirit had been nurtured by her dragon chi for many years, making it even more powerful than before. The aura it exuded right now was comparable to a peak high-level Dao realm master. Not only did it possess swift and violent lightning attribute energy, but it also possessed the ethereal characteristics of cloud. So this is the source of your confidence? I'm afraid it's far from enough. Why don't you take out your thunder sword? Su Fang was surprised at first, then his eyes flashed, and then he shook his head. Roar! A loud dragon roar burst from Su Fang's throat. He activated his dragon-subduing true body. His physical body changed wildly. His face, limbs, and body underwent a shocking transformation. He became a giant azure dragon with supreme divine power. He also cultivated the Dragon Clan's cultivation method and cultivated it to such a high level. He can transform his physical body into a divine dragon. That's a real divine dragon. It's not a dragon shadow formed by a divine ability, nor is it a spirit body. Huang Lingyao's cold eyes flashed with shock. She couldn't help but think, I'm not as good as him. Then, it turned into intense jealousy. When her Thunder Dragon Cloud spirit felt Su Fang's supreme divine dragon's might, its eyes showed a trace of fear. It roared angrily, as if it was afraid. This scene made Huang Lingyao even more furious. Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit, he's just a human. He's not a real divine dragon. What are you afraid of? Kill him! The Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit roared. Boom! 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 Su Fang's Azure Dragon and Huang Lingyao's Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit began an earth-shattering collision in the Heavenly Thunder Palace. Dragon roars, collision sounds, and thunder explosions. The void shattered, heaven fell, and the earth cracked. The entire Heavenly Thunder Palace trembled in the confrontation between the two dragons. The divine dragon transformed by Su Fang's dragon-subduing true body was no different from a real divine dragon. It was a supreme existence that stood at the top of the food chain. It had a natural deterrence and suppression against spiritual bodies like the Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit. Moreover, after Su Fang transformed into a divine dragon, he could use the Dragon Clan's martial arts and divine abilities. Moreover, the power was incomparably great, as if it was the innate ability of a divine dragon. As for Huang Lingyao's Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit, apart from releasing lightning energy, it only had the ability to fight with its physical body. How could it be a match for Su Fang? After repeated collisions, the Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit gradually fell into a disadvantageous position. Its aura weakened and the multicolored light on its body dimmed. It was no longer as astonishing as it was at the beginning. Thunder Palace's divine might suppress. Huang Lingyao couldn't hold back anymore. After forming a seal, she activated the Heavenly Thunder Palace's divine might. This divine might was a kind of magical treasure's divine might. Heavenly Thunder Palace. It was actually a magical treasure. A palace magical treasure refined from mica. Not only could it be used for cultivation and residence, it could also be used to suppress enemies. Boom! A surge of magical treasure's divine might rumbled from all directions, bombarding Su Fang's divine dragon body. This divine might contained an aura that could destroy all things, as well as the characteristics of lightning. Not only did it rapidly destroy Su Fang's divine dragon body, it also caused his divine dragon body to feel waves of numbness. As if his whole body was paralyzed, his dragon chi couldn't flow smoothly, and his body became stiff. Boom! 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 Not only was the Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit not affected by the divine might of the magical treasure, its strength had increased by a lot. Taking the opportunity, it fiercely attacked Su Fang. Su Fang's divine dragon body was shaken and forced to retreat. Layers of dragon scales fell off, and large patches of his body were burned and incinerated by the power of lightning. Roar! 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 As the divine dragon's huge tail swayed, it burst out a shocking aura, temporarily breaking free from the shackles of the Heavenly Thunder Palace's divine might, and sent the Thunder Dragon Cloud Spirit flying. The next moment, Purple Cloud Spirit. Su Fang urged the Purple Cloud Spirit, and a mysterious purple cloud burst out from his body. The terrifying divine might of the magical treasure swept towards the main hall. Boom! 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 The Purple Cloud Spirit had an astonishing ability to control any magical treasure. It could even devour the spirit of a divine tool, let alone the heavenly thunder palace, which wasn't even a divine tool. How could it possibly withstand the suppression of the purple cloud spirit? The heavenly thunder hall trembled under the supreme control of the purple cloud dharma spirit, causing it to tremble. Suppress the spirit of the heavenly thunder palace. Immediately after, a ball of purple light was shot out by Su Fang, and it swiftly drilled into the wall of the heavenly thunder palace. In merely a dozen breaths of time, a ball of purple-white lightning was forcibly dragged out from the wall of the main hall by the purple cloud spirit's origin spirit. That lightning constantly struggled and trembled, as if it was terrified to the extreme. However, it was unable to break free from the shackles of the purple cloud spirit's divine might. In the end, it was obediently wrapped up by Azi, and was dragged into the purple cloud space in the depths of Su Fang's body. The purple Qi Dharma spirit was a treasure of heaven and earth, so powerful. After losing its origin spirit, the heavenly thunder palace's divine might was instantly weakened by more than half. Furthermore, under the divine might of the purple cloud spirit, no matter how Huang Lingyao urged it, it was hard for the heavenly thunder palace to release its divine might to threaten Su Fang. Furthermore, the heavenly thunder palace, which had long been merged with Huang Lingyao, even began to reject Huang Lingyao, making it hard for her to freely control it. What kind of magical treasure is that? Even the spirit of the heavenly thunder palace was devoured by it? No, that's not a magical treasure. The aura within the purple cloud is so familiar, the purple cloud spirit. The purple cloud spirit actually has such a heaven-defying ability. After all, Huang Lingyao had once obtained a part of the purple cloud spirit. Although she was unable to merge with it, she was very familiar with the aura of the purple cloud spirit. At this moment, Huang Lingyao's heart was once again in turmoil. At the same time, she was also filled with regret. If she had known that the purple cloud spirit had such a heaven-defying ability, not only would she not have given that part of the purple cloud spirit to immortal Emperor Tianong, she would have taken the rest of the purple cloud spirit in Su Fang's body at all costs. Just as Huang Lingyao was filled with regret, Su Fang's divine dragon form burst out with a terrifying aura. She urged the divine dragon clan's divine ability and fiercely attacked the thunder dragon cloud spirit like a stormy sea. The thunder dragon cloud spirit's aura became weaker and weaker. In the end, it let out a miserable roar and was absorbed into Huang Lingyao's body. Su Fang recovered his physical state and swallowed the king-grade Yinyang immortal sky elixir. Then, he urged the dragon-subduing true body and the black lotus true body to quickly recover his consumed physical body. This time, his physical body had suffered heavy injuries. However, Su Fang had the dragon-subduing true body, the black lotus true body, and the blood-change true body. In addition, with the devouring ability of the netherworld blood sea, he did not need to urge the blood-change true body at all. In just a few breaths, his physical body had almost recovered. Half-floating life. The consumed dragon chi was difficult to recover in a short period of time. However, Su Fang was not worried about anything. The dragon-subduing true body was just one of his many powerful divine abilities, and it was not the most powerful one. Su Fang, you really surprised me. Your strength is almost beyond my imagination. Huang Lingyao's eyes flashed with shock. However, in the next moment, her eyes flashed with ruthless and fierce killing intent. She shouted coldly, "In that case, I don't need to hide anything." Yunxiao Thunder Sword. Huang Lingyao finally took out her last trump card, Yunxiao Thunder Sword. A bolt of lightning sword chi slithered around Huang Lingyao's body like a lightning snake. Then, the azure sword appeared. It emitted a gorgeous crystal light, like a bolt of sword chi lightning that was mainly azure. Chapter 1709. It wasn't that Su Fang hadn't seen the power of Yunxiao's thunder sword before. At this time, Huang Lingyao had completely unleashed the full power of Yunxiao's thunder sword, which made Su Fang extremely shocked. 8 square root 8 square root read square root book, 230 greater than or equal to purple chi dharma spirit. Facing Huang Lingyao's most powerful attack, Su Fang didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless, and once again unleashed the purple chi dharma spirit. Boom! The purple cloud dharma spirit controlled the dharma treasure with unparalleled divine power. The destructive and earth-shattering aura of the cloud sky thunder sword was suddenly suppressed. The azure-edged treasured sword, which shone with a brilliant light, trembled. Huang Lingyao felt as if she was about to lose control of this supreme Tao treasure. Huang Lingyao was extremely shocked, and her face turned pale. She felt as if her most precious thing was about to be forcefully snatched away by Su Fang. Huang Lingyao hurriedly sent a message to the Sword Spirit. Sword Spirit, what's going on? The purple chi dharma spirit has the natural power to control magic treasures. Not only Yunxiao Thunder Palace, but even I have no choice but to submit to this power. The Sword Spirit's answer made Huang Lingyao completely despair. If she lost Yunxiao's Thunder Sword, what else could she use to fight against Su Fang? Netherworld Reincarnation Technique. Netherworld Reincarnation Sword. Su Fang released the power of the purple chi dharma spirit, suppressing Yunxiao's Thunder Sword. Immediately after, he unleashed the Netherworld Reincarnation Technique, controlling the Reincarnation Sword, and an astonishing power of reincarnation burst out, covering Huang Lingyao with a terrifying aura. Suddenly, from Yunxiao's Thunder Sword, a mysterious and incomparably powerful aura gushed out, and the power of the purple chi dharma spirit controlling the magic treasure was also scattered. Chi! A thunderous sound reverberated. Yunxiao's Thunder Sword seemed to have been injected with some kind of power, and the crystal light suddenly became bright. The explosive aura also instantly recovered, and even surpassed the state when Huang Lingyao was controlling the magic treasure. If Huang Lingyao activated the power of Yunxiao's Thunder Sword to the 10th level, then the power of Yunxiao's Thunder Sword to the 12th level. Yunxiao's peerless sharpness at this moment reached the limit of a Dao item's power. Huang Lingyao was both shocked, and then became wild with joy. She said, Su Fang, even the heavens are helping me. Let's see how you escape from Yunxiao's Thunder Sword this time. Cloudsky's lightning sword unleashed a bolt of azure lightning, transforming into an enormous azure lightning sword beam. In an instant, the entire Thunder Palace was enveloped by a vast expanse of azure clouds as it smashed towards Su Fang with the force of a thunderbolt. What's going on now? STST that this SSS the reincarnation, and A's form TS's reincarnation, T's reincarnation, est TSS SS reincarnation test. Chi. 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 The azure lightning sword Chi cut through the pillars like tofu. The pillars were cut into two, and the immortal marks on the pillars were instantly shattered. The sword Chi could not stop it at all. However, the power of the sword Chi did not decrease at all. It slashed the ground, creating a bottomless crack that extended all the way to the wall of the hall, tearing a huge crack in the wall. Su Fang's reincarnation divine might was shattered as well. His body was swept by the remaining power of the green thunder sword Chi. His aura and flesh fetus divine armor were shattered. A long and deep wound appeared on his body from his right shoulder all the way to his abdomen. Blood spurted out. Fortunately, Su Fang's body was covered with the blood of the Black Lotus True Body, which made his body extremely sturdy. Otherwise, this sword would have torn him in half. Su Fang suddenly formed a seal and activated his blood transformation True Body. Waves of blood runes drilled out of his flesh and blood, densely covering his skin. His wounds began to heal as if they were living flesh and blood monsters. 5 breaths. The shocking wound healed just like that. Huang Lingyao was overjoyed to see Su Fang injured. Unexpectedly, Su Fang recovered in an instant. He could not help but be shocked. His eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Huang Lingyao, I just said that I need you to look up at my current height. Our enmity is settled here. Gigantified diamond body, Herculean divine palm. Chi. Su Fang's body flashed with a large amount of dazzling golden electric current. Pa, pa, pa. Su Fang's muscles and bones grew crazily. He instantly turned into a golden giant more than 500 feet tall. An ancient, familiar, and unfamiliar pure yang aura burst out. A set of golden robes covered with mysterious Dao marks appeared on his body. At this time, Su Fang was like a god of war. He was majestic and unstoppable. Clang! As his arms trembled, he slapped out with his palm. A huge golden palm print more than 100 feet long slapped towards Huang Lingyao. At this time, feeling the terrifying divine might of Su Fang's palm print, she did not doubt that this palm print could instantly turn her into meat paste. She was so frightened that her face turned pale. At this time, Yunxiao's thunder sword suddenly released a divine might. Amidst the rumbling of thunder, a shocking aura swept up Huang Lingyao and broke through the air. Su Fang's golden palm print slapped at the place where Huang Lingyao disappeared. Yunxiao's Thunder Palace's space world shook. Huang Lingyao's scream came from nothingness. She was obviously injured by this palm print, and not lightly. She actually escaped again. Unexpectedly. Su Fang really did not expect that Huang Lingyao would escape under such circumstances. After calming down, Su Fang thought that something was wrong just now. Strange, when Yunxiao's thunder sword was about to be controlled by the purple Qi Dharma spirit, why did it suddenly shatter the divine might of the purple Qi Dharma spirit and burst out with a shocking power that Huang Lingyao could possibly use? Law suddenly said, Su Fang, I'm afraid that Yunxiao's thunder sword is not that simple. Just now, I sensed a powerful aura from Yunxiao's thunder sword. This aura is definitely not something that a cultivator from the outside world should have. Law, you mean that it was this aura that pushed Yunxiao's thunder sword to the extreme just now, and it was not Huang Lingyao, but someone else? Without a doubt, there is an incomparably powerful primordial spirit hidden in Yunxiao's thunder sword. It should be the primordial spirit of a god living in Yunxiao's thunder sword. Probably even Huang Lingyao herself did not notice it. There is a god's primordial spirit hidden in Yunxiao's thunder sword? Su Fang gasped. When Su Fang was in the worldlet, he had witnessed the supreme power of Yunxiao's thunder sword with his own eyes. He did not expect that there was a god's primordial spirit living in this peerless Taoist instrument. It was simply incredible. It was impossible for Huang Lingyao to use the terrifying attack of Yunxiao's thunder sword just now. In other words, he had a confrontation with the god just now. No wonder even the underworld reincarnation sword could not contend against it. Su Fang then asked, Law, how is this primordial spirit compared to you? There is no comparison. Although that primordial spirit has reached the level of a god, compared to me, one is in the sky and the other is on the ground. Of course, I am in the sky and he is on the ground. No wonder. In the end, the one who saved Huang Lingyao was obviously not Yunxiao's thunder sword who took the initiative to save its master, but it was controlled by that primordial spirit. Unfortunately, Huang Lingyao escaped again. What? You can't bear to part with that woman, right? Law, you seem to care a lot about Huang Lingyao. Why don't I suppress her, strip her primordial spirit, and let her accompany you in the blood jade? Or maybe I can capture that primordial spirit in Yunxiao's thunder sword and let you enjoy the joy of dual cultivation. Instantly, there was no more sound coming from the blood jade. There are many experts outside Yunxiao's sacred ground watching covetously. Where can Huang Lingyao escape to? I will control this Yunxiao Thunder Palace and make sure you have nowhere to hide. Su Fang smiled coldly. This time, no matter what, he could not let Huang Lingyao escape. As long as this woman was given a chance, she would cause a lot of trouble. Su Fang stripped a young immortal and entered the purple cloud space in the depths of his body. Capture the artifact spirit of Yunxiao Thunder Palace for me. Purple cloud surged and wrapped around a bolt of lightning, appearing in front of Su Fang's young immortal. It was the artifact spirit of Yunshao Thunder Palace, the artifact spirit of Yunshao Thunder Palace. Su Fang's young immortal said majestically, "Artifact spirit, you should know my methods. I can easily devour you. If you don't want to disappear, you should obediently submit to me." The artifact spirit was intimidated by the purple cloud spirit's divine might, so how could it resist? Trembling it replied, "Yes, master. Yunshao is willing to submit to master." However, the formation inside Yunshao Thunder Palace has already been integrated by that woman. Even if I am willing to submit to master, master will not be able to control the entire artifact. You don't need to worry about this. First, tell me some things about your previous master, Mother Yun. Su Fang faintly guessed that the primordial spirit in Yunxiao's thunder sword was most likely left behind by Mother Yun. Thus, he had to ask the artifact spirit of Yunshao Thunder Palace. Yes. Mother Yun was a peerless existence in the outside world. Back then, she was also a peerless existence. After obtaining Yunxiao's thunder sword, she rose to power in the outside world and established Yunshao sacred ground. At that time, even the number 1 immortal Dao faction, Heavenly Fate Bright Heaven sect, did not dare to underestimate her. These things happened before I was refined by Mother Yun. I am not very clear about the details. Where did Mother Yun go after that? Some people said that she ascended to the divine realm. Some said that she failed in her ascension and died long ago. You should know the truth. Mother Yun did indeed break through the limits of the outside world and ascended to the divine realm. As for what happened to her after that, I have no way of knowing. After she ascended, she sealed me in a chaotic spacetime. Only 2,000 years ago was I found by a new master. I never thought that I would have to change masters so soon. The artifact spirit's voice was filled with humanity, causing Su Fang to be stunned. Yunshao Thunder Palace was actually a space-type artifact. It was similar to a mobile immortal's cave, but it was much bigger. Chapter 1710. The lightning elemental power of nature had the ability to destroy everything in the world. 9 Truths and 9 Suns, Chapter 1729. At the same time, the lightning elemental power contained the power to create life. It was said that the life in the universe was because of the lightning elemental power. This was the wonder of the heavenly Tao. The cloud heaven sacred ground was actually a miracle left behind by the myriad world. After it was obtained by Mother Yun, she personally refined the cloud heaven thunder palace. Through the array formation in the Dharma treasure, it absorbed the lightning elemental power in the cloud heaven sacred ground and transformed it into pure spirit chi that could allow cultivators to cultivate. It was precisely because of the cloud heaven thunder palace that the cloud heaven sacred ground was called a sacred ground. The reason why Huang Lingyao could improve so quickly was also greatly related to the cloud heaven thunder palace. There were a total of 10 rooms in the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace for cultivators to cultivate in. Each room was filled with boundless natural spirit chi. Which cultivator would not dream of having such an environment for cultivation? These 10 rooms were mainly used by Mother Yun for her loyal subordinates while she cultivated in the spirit pool in the depths of the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace. After Huang Lingyao obtained the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace, it naturally became her cultivation ground. In addition, the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace was the center of control of the entire Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Through the array formation, it could control the various restrictions on the periphery of the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Those cultivators who disappeared in the heavy fog were Huang Lingyao, who used the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace to control the fog and teleport those cultivators to the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace. Then, she easily shackled them and made them her puppet experts. In addition, a large number of Dharma treasures, ancient elixirs, spiritual items, and various other resources were sealed in the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace. They were all left behind by Mother Yun before she left the Cloud Heaven Sacred Ground. Luo wants to break through the shackles of the Crimson Cage and is looking for a spiritual land. Since the cloud heaven sacred ground has such a good cultivation environment, it can't be better. I don't have to look for a spiritual land anymore. As for those treasures, I naturally can't let them go. Although he could not kill Huang Lingyao this time, he unexpectedly gained so much. Su Fang was overjoyed. Of course, the Cloud Heaven Thunder Palace was not under his control at this moment. He had to erase Huang Lingyao's qi first. Huang Lingyao, you want to kill me, so I'll take your inheritance and treasures. You won't have any objections, right? Su Fang chuckled, looking a little embarrassed. In the depths of the Sky Thunder Hall, inside a magic treasure space created by layers of intertwined formations, although the area was not large, only about 1,000 feet in radius, it had pavilions, trees, rockery, and running water. The spiritual qi of heaven and earth here was shockingly rich, so much so that even the trees here were abnormally tall and lush. What was especially shocking was that in the center of the space there was a pool of about 10 feet in size. Immortal mist curled up from the pool like a dream. What flowed in the pool was not water, but spiritual water condensed from the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. This spiritual spring pool was the spiritual pool that the artifact spirit of the Heavenly Thunder Hall had mentioned. At this moment, Huang Lingyao sat in a lotus position in the middle of the spiritual pool. She was only wearing a thin layer of silk clothing. Her alluring figure that could drive even immortals crazy was faintly discernible. Coupled with the lingering spiritual mist around her, she was even more alluring. However, her face was pale at this moment, and her aura was extremely weak. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her body was slightly trembling. She seemed to be in extreme pain. Su Fang's Herculean divine palm was a divine-level divine ability, and it was not an ordinary one. Just how powerful was it? Although Huang Lingyao was taken away by Cloud Heaven's thunder sword and luckily escaped, she was still injured by the Herculean divine palm, and was now on the verge of being seriously injured. Reading the biscuit, suddenly, puff, Huang Lingyao spat out a mouthful of blood, and suddenly opened her eyes. Her eyes were filled with disbelief. The blood essence that I fused with the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall's formation was actually forcefully erased. How is this possible? Generally speaking, unless the owner died, it was impossible to erase the blood essence that the owner had fused with the artifact. Just now, Huang Lingyao sensed that the connection between her and the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall had been tyrannically erased. This also meant that she had lost control of the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall. Su Fang. His purple Qi Dharma spirit can not only devour artifact spirits, but also erase the blood essence that I fused with the artifact's formation. Huang Lingyao suddenly stood up from the pool, and her body was completely exposed. At this moment, she was not in the mood to pay attention to these things. The control of the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall had been seized by Su Fang. Not only did this mean that everything in the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall, including the cultivation grounds, artifacts, spiritual items, and resources, all belonged to Su Fang. If Huang Lingyao still did not leave, once Su Fang completely took control of the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall, even she herself would become Su Fang's prisoner. Su Fang, I, Huang Lingyao, am absolutely irreconcilable with you. Huang Lingyao's entire body trembled uncontrollably, and she spat out another mouthful of blood. Su Fang was like a tyrannical bandit who had barged into Huang Lingyao's room and robbed her of all her belongings. As for her, the original owner who had been robbed until she was left with only her underwear, she had no choice but to flee. How could Huang Lingyao endure such hatred? Qi. The Cloud Heaven Thunder sword emerged from Huang Lingyao's body and hovered in front of her. A woman's voice that seemed to come from another world sounded from the Cloud Heaven Thunder sword. My successor, I originally thought that after you obtained my successor, you would be able to achieve great things and establish a hegemony in the outside world, restoring the glory of the Cloud Heaven sacred ground. I didn't expect that you would actually be so useless. Now, even the cloud heaven's sacred ground is about to be lost. You truly disappoint me. Huang Lingyao seemed to have been struck by lightning as she stood there blankly. 4 to 5 breaths later, Huang Lingyao's eyes shot out a cold light as she stared at the cloud heaven thunder sword. Before this, it was you who used the cloud heaven thunder sword to save me? Who exactly are you? Why are you hiding in the cloud heaven thunder sword? I've merged with the cloud heaven thunder sword for so many years, but why haven't I found any clues? The woman said coldly, You still can't guess who I am? Where did your usual shrewdness go? Mother Yun. You are Mother Yun. At least you're not too stupid. That's right, I am Mother Yun. Didn't you ascend to the myriad heavens a long time ago? How could you still be alive? I did go to the end of the outside world. However, as soon as I entered the myriad heavens divine world, I was mercilessly beaten down to the mortal world. My physical body was destroyed, and only a broken primordial spirit was left. I hid in the cloud heaven thunder sword and fell into the small world. Huang Lingyao was completely shocked. After a long time, she asked in disbelief, Since you've ascended to the myriad heavens divine world, how could you die? What do you think the myriad heavens divine world is? Immortals like me who have ascended to the divine world are no different from ants in the eyes of those high and mighty gods. Mother Yun's voice became incomparably cold, like the cold wind of winter. As soon as I entered the divine world, a god took a fancy to my beauty and wanted to take me as a concubine. He treated me as a plaything and a cultivation furnace. My name is Mother Yun, not because of the cloud heaven sacred ground, but because I like the pleasures of men and women. The so-called Mount Wu, my name came from that. Although I like to treat men as playthings, it doesn't mean I like to be a plaything for men. When I was having intercourse with that deity, I used the supreme divine acacia art and sucked away all of his life force. Huang Lingyao turned into a log. She didn't expect the legendary Mother Yun to be such a person. She felt a chill all over her body. I escaped from the divine world, but that god's family chased me to the end of the great world. I had no choice but to self-detonate and use the cloud heaven thunder sword to luckily escape. Although I'm only left with a shattered Yuan spirit, I still have the strength of a god. I found a formation to hide myself in the cloud sky thunder sword. Not only you, who has fused with the cloud sky thunder sword, but even the sword spirit of the cloud sky thunder sword was blinded by me and did not know of my existence. If it weren't for me, how could you have successfully devoured your sister? You were just a mortal in a small world. How could you have easily merged with the cloud heaven thunder sword, a supreme Tao artifact? If it weren't for me, how could you have found the cloud heaven's sacred ground so smoothly and obtained my inheritance? Huang Lingyao's body trembled. Why are you doing this to me? You have a Tao body and you are ambitious, scheming. You are quite similar to me in the past. That's why I secretly helped you. What do you want from me? What kind of person was Huang Lingyao? With her scheming mind, she naturally knew that there was no free lunch in the world. Mother Yun must have other motives for hiding her strength so well. Mother Yun said with a murderous aura, Don't worry. I just want to help you reach the peak of the great world and go to all the realms. One day, you will kill all the gods who are chasing after me. Thank you, Senior Mother Yun, for thinking so highly of me. Huang Lingyao will definitely not disappoint you. Huang Lingyao seemed to believe Mother Yun's words and looked grateful. Mother Yun's crisp laughter came from the cloud heaven thunder sword. What I mean is that I want to use your body to recover my former strength and then go to the divine world. Although you have a Tao body, talent, and experience, the world is constantly changing. It's almost impossible for you to become a god. Why don't I become the master of your body? This way, both of us can ascend to the great world, right? Huang Lingyao's divine light changed instantly, and her body shot up from the spirit pool into the sky. Looks like you still don't understand my good intentions. As soon as Mother Yun's laughter fell, the shadow of a woman shot out from the cloud heaven thunder sword and hit the back of Huang Lingyao's head. It easily broke through Huang Lingyao's divine aperture defense and entered Huang Lingyao's sea of divine apertures. About the time it took for an incense stick to burn, Huang Lingyao chuckled and looked at herself up and down with a happy expression. Then, she said to herself, "Not bad. As expected of a Dao body. You didn't waste my efforts." Chapter 17:11. Huang Lingyao's young immortal was shackled by Mother Cloud, and her body was also controlled. It was as if she had been possessed. The only thing she could do was to transmit her primordial spirit voice to Mother Cloud. Mother Yun replied, "Even though you have the Dao physique, your cultivation is too weak. You're only in the early stage of the Dao realm, like an ant. I was planning to help you improve secretly, at least until you reach the advanced stage of the Dao realm, before taking over your body. However, I changed my mind after meeting the young cultivator called Su Fang." Huang Lingyao realized something. Her primordial spirit yelled coldly, "What are you planning to do? That young cultivator not only has the perfect ancient physical body, but I don't know what kind of supreme cultivation technique he has cultivated. He has such a vast amount of yang qi that even ordinary gods don't have. If you devour his yang qi and life force, it will be enough to change your physical body. Even my broken primordial spirit can be restored in one fell swoop. In that case, it will only be a matter of time before I recover my former cultivation," Mother Yun said slowly. Following this, Mother Yun smiled seductively. "As for how to devour him and let your flesh merge perfectly, we have to be very careful." Huang Lingyao asked, "How are you going to devour Su Fang? Wouldn't it be a pity if we can't merge his perfect flesh and the yang qi in it perfectly? Therefore, I want your body of the Great Path and this person's physical body to be in the most vigorous state of life, so that the potential of the physical body can be completely stimulated. This is the best time to merge. Why don't you kill me? Why do you want to keep my yang immortal? If I kill your yang immortal, your flesh will be affected. Besides, if your primordial spirit doesn't feel it, how can the potential of your flesh be fully unleashed?" Huang Lingyao had already understood Mother Yun's intentions, and immediately fell into the abyss of despair. "Just kill me, I, Huang Lingyao, would rather die than do such a thing." Jiu Zhen Jiuyang Chapter 173. Mother Yun touched her face and said with a smile, "How can such a beautiful girl not know how to enjoy life? The path of cultivation is long. If you don't enjoy yourself, wouldn't it be boring?" Mother Yun controlled Huang Lingyao's body to sit in the spiritual pool. Her clothes slipped off automatically, exposing her delicate body. No, Huang Lingyao was in complete despair. However, she couldn't even summon her primordial spirit. No matter how resourceful and ruthless she was, there was nothing she could do. She could only silently wait for her miserable fate to descend upon her. Su Fang didn't realize that great danger was about to befall him. He was immersed in the great joy of obtaining a treasure. Under the guidance of the Heavenly Thunder Hall's artifact spirit, Su Fang found the core of the Heavenly Thunder Hall's formation. He directly activated the Origin Sacred Mirror and released the 9 Yang True Fire, forcefully and overbearingly incinerating Huang Lingyao's blood and qi in the formation. As a result, Huang Lingyao lost control of the Heavenly Thunder Hall. Then, Su Fang used his own blood to fuse with the formation. Then, he stripped off his yang immortal to control tens of thousands of formations, as well as a vast number of hand seals and immortal patterns. It would be difficult for him to control them in a short period of time. Huang Lingyao is still in the spiritual pool. Is she not afraid of being suppressed by me? Su Fang felt that Huang Lingyao was still in place and didn't have any intention of escaping. He couldn't help but be surprised. After entering the formation space of the spiritual pool, Huang Lingyao created a powerful seal. Su Fang was temporarily unable to control the heavenly thunder hall. Forcefully breaking the formation might cause damage to the spiritual pool. After thinking for a while, Su Fang didn't pay attention to Huang Lingyao for the time being. Instead, he created a layer of formation outside the spiritual pool with the Imperial Heavenly Demon sealing seal to prevent Huang Lingyao from escaping. As for what Huang Lingyao was plotting, Su Fang really didn't take it to heart. Huang Lingyao's biggest reliance was the Heavenly Thunder Sword. Su Fang had many Dao tools and divine abilities that could suppress the Heavenly Thunder Sword. There was nothing to be afraid of. The only thing that Su Fang was a little wary of was the primordial spirit residing in the Heavenly Thunder Sword. However, with Luo around, Su Fang wasn't even afraid of a true god with a complete physical body. How could he be afraid of a true god's primordial spirit? Next, Su Fang began to check the rooms in the depths of the Heavenly Thunder Hall. There were a total of 10 rooms specially used for secluded cultivation. The spirit qi inside was abundant. Even the cave abodes of the Heavenly Fate Haotsong Sect's Grand Elder were far inferior. Although Su Fang had built many cultivation halls in the true dragon realm with spirit veins, they were not as many as the 10 rooms here. Su Fang immediately released the experts under him, mainly the monk, the ghost Dao's 5 freaks, old monster Zhu Tian, and other loyal subordinates who had followed him for many years. Feng Ling and Tua Yu, the 2 new members, were also assigned a room. Master is mighty. After knowing that this was the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground and that Su Fang was about to seize control of it, the monk Shang De shouted excitedly. The other experts under him were also very happy. Following a master like Su Fang, who wouldn't improve quickly. Next, Su Fang came to the room where all kinds of treasures were sealed. The moment the seal of the room was opened, Su Fang saw an ancient space floating in clouds. All kinds of treasures and resources gathered into an ocean, floating in the clouds. There were all kinds of medicine bottles to store elixirs, jade slips to store secret manuals, and countless jade stones, spirit stones, gems, spirit objects, spirit veins, and dharma treasures. The Heavenly Thunder sacred ground was a force that even the Heavenly Fate Haotsong sect did not dare to underestimate back then. How shocking was the inheritance left behind by Mother Yun. Moreover, this was a complete inheritance, unlike the inheritance of the Yellow Spring Emperor's Hall, which was a part of the inheritance left behind by the Yellow Spring Emperor for his successor. Moreover, the Yellow Spring Emperor was the realm lord of an immortal realm back then, and the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground established by Mother Yun was a terrifying force that dominated several immortal realms. Huang Lingyao, I really have to thank you. Su Fang could not help but express his heartfelt gratitude to Huang Lingyao. Huang Lingyao had used the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground to attract the experts of the 8 forces and suppress them into puppets. With so many treasures, rebuilding the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground would be a piece of cake. Unfortunately, all these inheritances had now been taken advantage of by Su Fang. Su Fang was currently lacking resources. Now that he had obtained the inheritance of the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground, it was equivalent to solving his urgent need. It was really too timely. Su Fang happily left the room where the treasures were sealed, and then under the guidance of the artifact spirit, he arrived at the center of the Heavenly Thunder Hall's formation that controlled the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground. Through the formation, Su Fang could clearly see the situation inside and outside the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground. If he completely merged with the Heavenly Thunder Hall, he could even activate the various restrictions of the Heavenly Thunder sacred ground, including the layers of fog on the outside, and teleport the cultivators that were trapped within to the Heavenly Thunder Hall before easily suppressing them. Su Fang was still unable to freely control the Heavenly Thunder Hall, but with the help of the formation, he could clearly see everything in the Heavenly Thunder Hall and even the entire Heavenly Thunder sacred ground. He sank a strand of his consciousness into the formation, and in an instant, the scene inside the Heavenly Thunder Hall was clearly displayed in his field of vision. Huang Lingyao, What is she doing? Su Fang first wanted to check on Huang Lingyao, who was hiding in the spirit pool, but who would have thought that he would see the scene of a beauty bathing. A graceful figure with perfect curves, qi. A pure yang fire suddenly exploded in Su Fang's body, and he actually had a nosebleed. This was also a side effect of having too much yang qi. Could it be that Huang Lingyao knows that she can't escape from my suppression, so she plans to use this method to soften my heart and then let her go? Su Fang raised his eyebrows and withdrew his consciousness from the formation. Huang Lingyao's heart is like a poisonous scorpion, but I didn't expect her figure to be so perfect. It turned out that he had also seen the scene in the spirit pool through Su Fang's consciousness. Then, he asked, Su Fang, between Huang Lingyao and Fairy Xuanxin, which one has a better figure? Of course Xuanxin is better, but Huang Lingyao looks more voluptuous. Luo, you're simply too shameless. Luo chuckled and fell silent. Humph, my Tao heart is as hard as iron. Even if you, Huang Lingyao, use all your means, you won't be able to shake my determination to kill you. Su Fang smiled coldly. How could a mere beauty shake his Tao heart? Let's see if there's any movement outside the heavenly thunder hall. Ignoring Huang Lingyao, Su Fang used the power of the formation to display his perfect vision. The range of his vision quickly spread from the heavenly thunder hall to the outside, and he could see everything. This feeling was incomparably wonderful. Holy man Han Su and the other powerful cultivators who had entered the heavenly thunder hall had already disappeared. There were also no cultivators in the thick fog outside. However, Su Fang was greatly shocked when he saw the outside of the fog. Outside the fog, lines of imprints intertwined to form a huge boundary that enveloped the entire heavenly thunder hall. Outside the boundary, there were layers of formations and densely packed heavenly thunder hall cultivators. Su Fang also saw many familiar figures. First Supreme Elder, Lord of the Demonic World, Ming Yen. Is the heavenly thunder hall going to make a final gamble? Su Fang did not expect the heavenly thunder hall to mobilize all their forces, and even the Lord of the Demonic World came personally. Clearly, they were determined to win this time. First Supreme Elder and the Lord of the Demonic World clearly know that I can kill a demigod in a short time with the help of Luo's Abhijna, but they still put on such a big show. Could it be that they have something to rely on? Su Fang observed carefully for a while more. He did not find anything unusual and was about to retract his consciousness. Who would have thought that at this moment Law leisurely reminded him, among the cultivators of the Tianming Haotsang sect, there is a deity. It's not the slave of my clan, but someone else. He's much more powerful than Sang Han. I'm afraid you're in trouble this time. Another god? Su Fang raised his eyebrows and searched among the many cultivators of the heavenly thunder hall. In the end, he locked onto an old man at the Saint Immortal Realm. This person hid very well. If not for Luo's reminder, I wouldn't have been able to discover his existence at all. Could this be the foundation of the heavenly thunder hall that Venerable Xianlin mentioned? While he was thinking. Chapter 1712. Who is this person? How could he be so powerful? Su Fang slowly withdrew his gaze from the array. His heart was shocked. 9 True 9 Sons Chapter 1731. The heavenly mandate Haotsang sect has surrounded the cloud heaven sacred ground. It's obvious that they want to catch me like a turtle in a jar, but they still haven't given up on me. With Luo around, and after I advanced to the high-level Tao realm, I also have the strength to fight against a demigod expert. It looks like the heavenly mandate Haotsang sect won't force their way into the cloud heaven sacred ground for the time being. I'll get rid of Huang Lingyao as soon as possible and then use the spirit pool to let Luo devour the flame Kirin beast's heartblood. As long as Luo escapes the shackles of the blood-colored cage, what's there to fear if another god comes? Su Fang smiled coldly. Next, Su Fang separated a young immortal and paid attention to the heavenly mandate Haotsong Sek's actions outside the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall. Then, he sped up the process of merging with the Cloud Heaven Thunder Hall. At the same time, Su Fang was also paying attention to Huang Lingyao's every move. He realized that she had been sitting cross-legged in the spirit pool all this while to recover, as if she had not noticed the impending danger. Su Fang felt that it was very strange. Su Fang activated the heavenly derivation mystic solution to see the secrets of heaven. Buzz, buzz. In the depths of his mind, the yin-yang vortex formed by the heavenly derivation mystic solution true text appeared. Of the two phantoms formed by the true runes, one could just barely distinguish that one was Su Fang and the other was Huang Lingyao. Both of them were shrouded in a layer of pink mist, and there was a faint karmic connection between them. Strange. It doesn't look like there's any danger. Instead, something unexpected might happen. Su Fang could not sense any accurate information from the heavenly derivation mystic solution true text. Instead, it was even more confusing, and he could not help but find it strange. He continued to ask Luo, who did not give Su Fang any advice. Instead, he made fun of Su Fang. Su Fang had already grown to the peak of the great world. Unless it was a critical moment of life and death, Luo would not help Su Fang. Doing so would be detrimental to Su Fang's growth. About half a year later, with the help of the Purple Cloud Dharma Spirit and the Heavenly Thunder Hall's Hall Spirit, Su Fang finally merged with the Heavenly Thunder Hall and mastered a part of the array and hand seals. Huang Lingyao, it's finally time for us to settle our grudge once and for all. Su Fang went to the formation outside the spirit pool. After performing a hand seal, the formation made of immortal marks opened up a path for Su Fang to enter. Huang Lingyao. Su Fang looked coldly at Huang Lingyao in the spiritual pool. Just by looking at that graceful figure, Su Fang's body couldn't help but explode with pure yang fire, and his heart thumped wildly. No matter how beautiful Huang Lingyao is, she's just a snake wearing a beautiful coat. I just treat her as a skeleton. Whoosh! Su Fang took a deep breath and then let out a long breath to calm his heart. Huang Lingyao suddenly opened her eyes and glanced at Su Fang. She raised the corner of her mouth and showed a mocking smile. You want to kill me? How can you bear to kill me? Huang Lingyao seems to be different from before. Su Fang raised his eyebrows. Then, Su Fang's eyes suddenly shot out a misty and mysterious light. Under his eyes there were no secrets in the world. Heaven prying eye. Under the supreme divine ability of the heaven's eye, Su Fang could see some clues from Huang Lingyao's body. At this moment, Huang Lingyao bore some resemblance to the statue of Mother Cloud in the main hall of the Sky Thunder Hall. Her peerlessly beautiful face exuded a heroic and domineering aura that ordinary women did not possess. Moreover, there was a faint aura that Su Fang found unfamiliar in her aura. Su Fang secretly became vigilant and took out the Xianming Thunder Archive. Since you want to kill me, why don't you do it? Huang Lingyao chuckled and her whole body trembled. Su Fang saw her beautiful body clearly. Skeleton, all I see are skeletons, Su Fang silently said in his heart, his Tao heart unmoved. Suddenly Huang Lingyao made a hand seal and sent out a seal. The layer of spiritual mist floating above the spiritual pool suddenly rolled and gave people a feeling of unpredictability. It floated toward Su Fang and instantly filled the entire formation space where the spiritual pool was. In an instant, the surrounding scene changed greatly. Women who were only wrapped in a thin veil walked towards Su Fang from the fog. Each of them was an outstanding beauty with a sweet smile on their faces. At the same time, there were whispers coming from all directions, as if there were women whispering something in his ear. Unknowingly, Su Fang seemed to have fallen into a gentle land and completely relaxed his vigilance. Clouds were also a kind of natural power of heaven and earth. They were unpredictable and ethereal, Cultivators who mastered the great Tao of clouds were best at creating illusions to confuse the enemy's primordial spirit and consciousness. Cloud Mother was a deity who had ascended to the heavens. Although her physical body was not present at this time, she used Huang Lingyao's physical body to display the great Tao of clouds, making Su Fang also unknowingly fall into an ethereal and illusory illusion. Moreover, the strange thing about this great Tao was that it evoked the cultivator's most instinctive ability and was used to attack the cultivator. Therefore, there was not the slightest dangerous aura, making Su Fang's heavenly secret life shrinking technique unable to sense the danger of fate and prompt the Tao runes of fate to warn him. In a trance, Su Fang suddenly felt a soft body in his arms and rubbed against his body, causing the pure yang primordial fire in his body to burn fiercely. First, it was the yang meridian, then the Tao palace of heaven and earth formed by the yang meridian and the world tree exploded. Su Fang suddenly woke up. He opened his eyes and saw Huang Lingyao's delicate and beautiful face. Huang Lingyao, I didn't expect you to be not only vicious and merciless, but also shameless. Su Fang shouted coldly, his eyes burning with flames. He was about to use the burning heaven eye to kill Huang Lingyao. At this moment, here's the biscuit parlor, chi, 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 chi. Wisps of electricity floated out of the clouds and landed on Su Fang's body, quickly drilling into his body. These wisps of electricity contained amazing power. Waves of numbness came from Su Fang's body. His flesh, bones, and meridians became numb. Moreover, these strange wisps of electricity intertwined in his body, forming a powerful sealing power, causing Su Fang to lose control of his body. At this moment, he couldn't even use his genuine qi, let alone use any divine powers. Even the ghost spirits, dragon birds, and the Zhenlong realm in his body were sealed by the power of the electric wisp. They became numb and couldn't be released by Su Fang. Huang Lingyao's eyes showed anxiety, anger, and humiliation. However, a strange and charming voice came out of her mouth. You and I are from the same sect. Before you die, I invite you to die with me. How can I be shameless? Possession. Huang Lingyao has been possessed by Mother Yun. Su Fang suddenly turned pale with fright. There was nothing he didn't understand at this time. You're Su Fang? What a strong body, what abundant yang qi. Even I can't bear to kill you. Huang Lingyao stroked Su Fang's muscles, showing a greedy expression. However, her eyes were still full of resentment and despair, looking very strange. I'll use the joyous union art to allow you and Huang Lingyao to dual cultivate in yin and yang. I'll let your blood and qi burn, and your life force will be in its most vigorous state. Especially your yang qi, it will also be in a burning state, reaching your peak level. At this time, I will let Huang Lingyao's body merge with your life force and yang qi. In this way, Huang Lingyao's Taoist body will become perfect, and my primordial spirit will also be restored to its previous height. Huang Lingyao said with a smile. Her charming face made Su Fang feel like he was facing a poisonous snake. Luo, help me think of a way. Su Fang could only ask Luo for help. Su Fang, it's time to test you. If I have to help you with everything, it will be extremely detrimental to your future growth. So this time, you can only deal with the danger by yourself. Luo's serious voice came out of the blood jade. Su Fang was suddenly dumbfounded. Resolve? How could he resolve the current situation? At the critical moment, Luo actually did this, and said it so righteously, which made Su Fang almost vomit blood. Then Luo said, Besides, this time is not dangerous. Instead, it's a pleasure for you. As your friend, how can I ruin your good thing? The only thing I can do is to help you hide the Zhenlong world, so that your subordinates can't see anything happening outside. Now you should be relieved, right? And I also promise you that I will never peek, never. Luo's words made Su Fang's heart twitch and his blood and qi boil. Let me give you a suggestion. Do you want to listen? Su Fang gritted his teeth in his heart. Say it. on the road of cultivation, there are many things that can't be changed. It's fate. For example, between you and Huang Lingyao, since the beginning of the small world, your fates have been intertwined. This is all fate. You can't change anything at all, let alone resist. These words made a lot of sense. Who knew that at this point Luo suddenly laughed and then said, "Many things are like the situation you are in now. Since you can't resist, it's better to slowly enjoy it. Slowly you will realize the endless fun in it." Then his voice never sounded again. "Luo, just you wait. Sooner or later, I will get my revenge." Puff! A stream of blood flowed backward, spurting out from Su Fang's mouth. "It seems that you can't wait any longer. Then let's start." Huang Lingyao, there was another burst of crisp laughter. She stretched out her hand and took off Su Fang's Taoist robe. Huang Lingyao looked at Su Fang, and there was despair and pleading in her eyes. Su Fang saw the meaning in her eyes. She wanted Su Fang to kill her. She would rather die than be humiliated like this. Chapter 1713. 9 Truths and 9 Sons. Chapter 1732. Su Fang would never have dreamt of it. He would never have imagined that he would have such an interaction with Huang Lingyao. No wonder there was a peach blossom when he used the mysterious solution of heaven's divination to deduce. It turned out that there was a peach blossom luck in his luck this time. Whoosh! The surrounding spiritual mist rolled, enveloping Su Fang and Huang Lingyao. From the outside, the figures of the two could not be seen. The water vapor in the mist seeped into Su Fang's body. Su Fang felt as if the 7 emotions and 6 desires in his heart had been ignited. Even a deity would have the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Moreover, Su Fang was not a deity. And because he cultivated the 9 Sons' 9 transformations, Su Fang's yang qi was abundant in ancient times. Su Fang's instincts were stronger than anyone else. Previously, when Fairy Xuanxin was dual cultivating with him, she loved and feared him. This was also the reason. Su Fang's Tao heart was strong. He could guard his heart and suppress the 7 emotions and 6 desires. But at this time, when the mist released by the Cloud Mother's divine ability was released, it was like an overflowing flood that could not be controlled. In the mist, there was a flash of electricity, drilling into Su Fang's body. It caused Su Fang's flesh, blood, bones, meridians to tremble. The blood qi in his body, as well as the yang qi in his yang meridian, were like ignited kerosene, exploding and burning. "Luo, you bastard, you still haven't acted." Su Fang called out to the blood jade in his body, but it was like a stone sinking into the sea. "From the looks of it, I can only slowly enjoy it." Su Fang closed his eyes, revealing a painful, helpless expression, as well as an indescribable awkwardness. In an instant, the two bodies merged together. 2 exclamations sounded in the mist, and then there was rapid breathing. In the blood jade, Luo Pan sat in the blood-colored cage. His weathered face was full of smiles. He nodded and said, "Kid, enjoy it to your heart's content. In a while, you will thank me. You don't have to worry about my character. I will never peek." As he spoke, his crimson eyes emitted crimson light that pierced through the crimson cage and looked outside. He even muttered to himself, "Su Fang, I didn't mean to peek at you. I just wanted to keep an eye on you to prevent Mother Yun from suddenly attacking you. Otherwise, if I don't make it in time, it will be very bad." At this moment, deep within Su Fang's body, in the depths of the Origin Sacred Mirror, a mysterious mirror appeared from a certain formation space. An ethereal light flashed from the mirror, as if it could see through everything in the world. "I didn't expect that this brat would be shackled by a deity and forced to have sex with a woman. It's actually the yang devouring skill. Where did this deity come from?" He actually seized the body of a cultivator from a macro world and tried to devour this brat's yang qi and blood qi. The mysterious woman, Shu Wanjin, spoke in an ethereal voice. Her eyes turned cold as well. "It's just a broken primordial spirit of a deity. If he wants to devour this brat, he'll have to see if I agree. Xu Wanjin inexplicably snorted. Then, the light from the mirror looked at the cavern of time in the depths of Su Fang's body and fell on Xu Yunkong. Father, Xu Wanjin sighed, then looked away and focused on the outside. Once Su Fang was in danger, she would not hesitate to give Mother Yun's primordial spirit a fatal blow through the divine mirror. Chaotic clouds and rain. Su Fang's helplessness and anger at the beginning, and even a little bit of humiliation, gradually entered the best state of enjoyment. Huang Lingyao also became incomparably crazy. She abandoned her usual arrogance, indifference, and ruthlessness and threw herself into it crazily. From the despair and pain at the beginning, and also the inexperience of the first time, to the wildness of a prostitute in the end. This wasn't because she was being controlled by Mother Yun, but because she wanted to release her final splendor before she died. This was also a way to vent her anger towards fate. No one knew how long had passed. Su Fang and Huang Lingyao climbed to the top of the clouds at the same time. Right at this moment, Mother Yun was like a venomous snake lurking in the dark. She suddenly revealed her ferocious fangs and used Huang Lingyao's body to activate the art of joyous union. The art of yang swallowing. Whether it was humans or other creatures, when they reached the peak of copulation, it was often the time when their life force exploded to the extreme. This was the best way to continue the next generation. This was the secret that allowed life to reproduce and grow from generation to generation. Mother Yun used the art of joyous union, which was actually called the art of yang swallowing, to burn the power of life in Su Fang and Huang Lingyao's bodies, as well as Su Fang's yang qi, to the most vigorous state. Then, she used the art of yang swallowing to plunder Su Fang's yang qi and life essence, turning them into nutrients for Huang Lingyao's body to become perfect. Boom! Su Fang roared like a wild beast. His life force, which was in a burning state, as well as the pure yang qi in his physical body and yang meridian, broke through the yang gate and rushed into Huang Lingyao's body like a flood released from a broken dam. This was not some yin and yang dual cultivation, but devouring and plundering. She wanted to plunder the source of Su Fang's life in a powerful and domineering manner. Huang Lingyao suddenly opened her eyes. A brilliant smile bloomed on her delicate and beautiful face, but her eyes were full of despair. Because she knew very well that once Su Fang was devoured, her primordial spirit and consciousness would completely disappear from this world. Without her primordial spirit and consciousness, only her body would be left. How could she be the former Huang Lingyao? Su Fang also suddenly woke up from the peak of bliss. She shouted to Luo in the depths of her body, "Luo, what are you waiting for?" Inside the blood jade, Luo's blood-red eyes burned with bloody light. "Mother Yun, you're really courting death." At the same time, on the surface of the origin sacred mirror, Xu Wanjin's eyes also exuded a cold light. Su Fang cultivates the 9 yang 9 transformations, which is very important to my recovery. Not to mention, he took my father as his master, which is the same as my younger brother. How dare you devour his life force and yang qi? How can I let you do as you wish? The two god-level experts were about to attack at the same time. Suddenly, an earth-shattering commotion broke out in Su Fang's palace of heaven and earth. In an instant, Black Lotus True Body, Dragon Subduing True Body, Fire Cloud Emperor Body, Purple Chi Dharma Spirit, Thunder Punishment True Body, Amorphous Golden Body, Water True Body, Extinguishing Earth, and the Vital Chi, Demonic Chi, and Demonic Chi in his golden core origin. At this moment, all the vital Chi and energy in his body passed through the Yang Meridian and entered the World Tree. At the same time, his life essence and pure Yang Qi suddenly flowed in reverse, entering the palace of heaven and earth and being absorbed by the World Tree. It turned out that Su Fang's physical body was shackled, making it difficult for him to use his vital Qi, divine abilities, and even the power of the world of yin and yang. At this moment, Mother Yun was using the yang devouring art to devour Su Fang's yang qi and life force. Su Fang's palace of heaven and earth was his own world, built from various true bodies, yang meridian, the world tree, and life force. Su Fang's yang qi and life force were stolen, which meant that the foundation of the palace of heaven and earth was destroyed. The palace of heaven and earth automatically operated, releasing the power of the world of yin and yang. Although Mother Yun was a god-level expert who had ascended to the god realm, she was only left with a broken primordial spirit. How much power could she have after possessing Huang Lingyao's body? Su Fang's palace of heaven and earth was something that many god-level experts in the universe didn't have. Moreover, he had cultivated his own world to a certain level. How could Mother Yun, who had possessed Huang Lingyao, be able to resist his sudden burst of power? In an instant, the power of the world of yin and yang exploded from the palace of heaven and earth and swept through the body. The power of the seal formed by the electric currents and clouds that shackled Su Fang's body disappeared like fallen leaves swept away by the autumn wind. The divine aura of the world of yin and yang radiated to the outside of his body, enveloping Huang Lingyao within the range of the divine aura. The clouds and mist around the two of them, under the influence of Su Fang's power, suddenly shattered layer by layer and turned into nothingness. Huang Lingyao, who was tightly bound to Su Fang, was also swept away by this aura and fell into the spirit pool. Su Fang stretched out his hand and a Taoist robe appeared. It automatically covered his body, and he finally got rid of the awkwardness just now. The palace of heaven and earth. You actually have the palace of heaven and earth. No, your palace of heaven and earth wasn't something you were born with. It was something you cultivated, and you even turned the palace of heaven and earth into your own world. Mother Yun's shocked voice came out of Huang Lingyao's mouth. The palace of heaven and earth was a type of godhead that could allow one to ascend to the heavens and earth. Godheads were extremely rare in the great world, but it wasn't as if there weren't any godheads in the great world. Therefore, this wasn't the most shocking thing for Mother Yun. Having a godhead meant that one had the qualifications to become a godhead, but it didn't mean that one would definitely become a godhead. It was like an emperor having many princes. Each prince had the qualifications to become the emperor, but there was only one who could truly inherit the throne. However, Su Fang's godhead was obtained through cultivation. It was a completely different concept from a cultivator who was born with a godhead. This meant that as long as Su Fang continued to cultivate, he could become a godhead. Moreover, Su Fang had cultivated the palace of heaven and earth into his own world. This was even more shocking. It meant that not only could Su Fang become a godhead in the future, but his future achievements would also be beyond Mother Yun's imagination. Mother Yun trembled as she said, "Are you a disciple sent to the great world by some supreme god clan in the heavens?" She had been to the great world of heaven and earth, and had even devoured a godhead. Therefore, she knew many things about the god world. The god world had a very strict hierarchy, and at the top of the food chain were the mysterious and powerful god clans, who had existed since the beginning of heaven and earth. Even the power of the Tao of heaven was controlled by them. For Su Fang to be able to cultivate his own world meant that he had cultivated some sort of boundless technique, something that ordinary godheads couldn't possibly possess. In fact, not even world lords had godly class energy arts like that. Furthermore, Su Fang was extraordinarily strong, and had many other boundless divine abilities. Chapter 17:14. Su Fang mocked, "I'm afraid you'll be disappointed. I'm a cultivator born and raised in a small world, not a disciple of some god race." Huang Lingyao was surprised. A cultivator born and raised in a small world. At this time, Huang Lingyao's young immortal said resentfully, "He's indeed a cultivator who ascended from a small world. I was once in the same sect as him." "Humph, so what if he's a cultivator who ascended from a small world? Although we're born lowly, as long as we're given enough time to grow, we'll shine brightly." Even you gods won't be able to catch up to us. Since he's a lowly cultivator from a small world, I have nothing to worry about." Mother Yun finally relaxed and couldn't help but praise, "I didn't expect a cultivator who ascended from a small world to have such amazing talent. He's able to reach the peak of a large world." If Su Fang was really a trial taker from a god race in the god realm, Mother Yun couldn't help but be wary of him. Why was that? The power of the heavenly way of the macro world was controlled by the supreme god clan. Killing Su Fang would definitely attract the attention of the heavenly way. When the time came, the heavenly punishment would descend. Even if Mother Yun regained the strength of a god, she would not be able to escape from the heavenly punishment. "That's great. I'll devour your yang energy and life force. With this fleshly body, not only will I be able to recover my former strength and return to the God realm, I might even become a God realm expert. When that time comes, I'll wipe out all the God realm forces that are hunting me down." Mother Yun smiled coldly. The aura of a former overlord of a large world was now fully displayed. However, she was standing in the spiritual pool without a single piece of clothing on her body, which weakened her domineering aura by more than half. Su Fang said coldly, "I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you again. Although I, Su Fang, was born lowly, I relied on my own efforts to reach my current height. How can a broken primordial spirit like you suppress me? Not only will you not be able to devour me, but I will also suppress you." At this time, his physical body had regained its freedom, and Huang Lingyao had been covered by the power of his yin and yang world. Even if Mother Yun used her physical body to display her magical power, it would be difficult for her to threaten Su Fang. "A mere high-level Dao realm cultivator dares to be so arrogant in front of me? Now I'll show you the power of a god." Huang Lingyao sneered disdainfully. "Chi." A wisp of smoke suddenly emerged from her eyes and condensed into a sharp arrow. It instantly pierced through space and shot towards Su Fang's forehead. The void trembled, and Su Fang's divine aperture defense suffered a huge impact. He felt a stabbing pain in his head. The primordial spirit arrow that was condensed from the clouds drilled into his divine aperture ocean. Although Su Fang's yin-yang world's divine might was extremely powerful and could even contend against a demigod, his primordial spirit was not shackled by any space or divine might. Moreover, Mother Yun's primordial spirit was extremely powerful, surpassing a demigod. Su Fang's second primordial spirit was not present, and the Dark Valley origin pearl was also inside the monster's body. The heavenly devil blood plate's divine might was unable to resist Mother Yun's powerful primordial spirit. Mother Yun's primordial spirit broke through his divine aperture defense. Luo in the blood jade and Shu Wanjin in the origin sacred mirror were first surprised by Su Fang's yin-yang divine might and escaped from danger. Seeing Mother Yun's primordial spirit invading Su Fang's divine aperture ocean, these two divine experts had no intention of saving him. "It's just a broken primordial spirit. Fighting with his yang immortal in this kid's divine aperture ocean is simply courting death. This kid doesn't need my help anymore." In the depths of the formation space, the mirror disappeared without a trace. Luo smiled faintly and sat back down in the bloody cage with a relaxed expression. "If I wipe out your primordial spirit, your life essence and yang qi will not escape the fate of being devoured by me. But this way the effect will be much weaker. Why don't you make a deal with me?" Once Yun Yan entered Su Fang's divine aperture ocean, he immediately turned into Mother Yun's yang immortal. With an unparalleled domineering aura, he floated above Su Fang's divine aperture ocean and looked down at Su Fang. Su Fang's yang immortal smiled faintly without fear. "What deal? I'll give you one more chance to enjoy Huang Lingyao's body, then I'll devour your body essence and yang qi. But I'll leave your primordial spirit behind and help you take over a powerful body. This way, not only can you keep your life, you can also become a powerful expert." These conditions don't seem like much. If you're still not satisfied, I can keep you by my side and make you my Tao companion. As long as you perform well, I won't be stingy with your rewards. When I recover my strength and ascend to the myriad worlds, I can even bring you with me. Su Fang's young immortal raised the corner of his mouth and revealed a trace of mockery. Become the Tao companion of a flirtatious woman like you? I'm afraid that every time I dual cultivate with you, I'll vomit. Sorry, I really can't do it. You're courting death. Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being ruthless. Not only will I devour your life essence and yang qi, I'll also wipe out your primordial spirit and completely wipe you from this world. Mother Yun was furious. The young immortal opened his mouth and spat out a cloud of mist. It quickly floated towards Su Fang's young immortal and enveloped Su Fang's young immortal. You want to kill me? I, Su Fang, am not a weakling that you can kill. Lightning of destiny, suppress destiny. Su Fang's young immortal was surrounded by the cloud of mist and smiled coldly. The biscuits have been delivered, please try them. Heaven's secret life shrinking technique. Su Fang had the supreme ability to break all primordial spirit restriction technique. The lightning of destiny could be directly activated by the primordial spirit and destroy everything in the enemy's way. Chi chi chi. As soon as Mother Yun's primordial spirit mist entered Su Fang's young immortal, the destiny Tao marks that had already merged with Su Fang's young immortal were immediately activated by Su Fang. In an instant, mysterious destiny Tao runes flashed and burned. Although Mother Yun was a god, how could her primordial spirit attack resist Su Fang's lightning of destiny? Chi chi chi. The mist that entered Su Fang's young immortal was instantly burned away layer by the destiny Tao runes, turning into wisps of green smoke. In the next moment, the silent lightning of destiny roared. What divine ability is this? A moment ago, Mother Yun's young immortal was extremely domineering and looked down on everything, but now it revealed a shocked and terrified expression. At this moment, Mother Yun had a feeling that she was about to face a calamity. Not only this young immortal, but everything that existed in her world would be turned to ashes. Mother Yun, come down, I will tell you what is obliterated. Su Fang's young immortal looked at Mother Yun. Ethereal divine light flickered in its eyes. From the young immortal, as well as the walls of the divine aperture, large amounts of mysterious Tao runes surged out. After a series of intense flashes, the lightning of destiny exploded. Mother Yun was like a leaf facing the lightning punishment of the heavenly Tao. It was instantly turned into ashes by the lightning of destiny. The young immortal was no more. The broken primordial spirit that Mother Yun left in Huang Lingyao's divine aperture suddenly trembled violently. The primordial spirit's aura withered a lot. Even the mist seal that shackled Huang Lingyao's primordial spirit loosened. What a powerful primordial spirit divine ability! Up until now, Mother Yun still thought that Su Fang used a primordial spirit divine ability. Huang Lingyao was not surprised and immediately mocked. What kind of person is Su Fang? How could you kill him so easily? You only have yourself to blame for his counterattack. It would be best if he could obliterate you in one fell swoop. A cultivator from a large world also wants to obliterate my existence. How laughable! No. Mother Yun first mocked Huang Lingyao, then felt a great danger descending from the unseen world, and her expression changed greatly. Normally, with Su Fang's current cultivation level, it would be difficult for the lightning of destiny to obliterate Mother Yun's primordial spirit. After all, it was the primordial spirit of a deity. However, at this time, the life force in Su Fang's body had been completely stimulated by Mother Yun's art of joyous union. It had just come down from its peak state, and its state had not completely disappeared, and its vitality was still burning. The lightning of destiny that was used in such a state was so powerful that even Su Fang himself was a little surprised. Rumble! The lightning of destiny could obliterate fate and all existences connected to fate. Mother Yun could not escape at all, let alone resist, and was silently bombarded by the lightning of destiny. Mother Yun let out an unwilling and despairing scream. Under the power of the lightning of destiny, her primordial spirit shattered and burned layer by layer. After a few breaths, Mother Yun's shattered primordial spirit was only left with a faint shadow, as if a gust of wind would blow it apart. Whoosh! Mother Yun's remaining primordial spirit left Huang Lingyao's divine aperture ocean and entered the space inside the Yunshao Thundersword, hiding in a secret array space once again. The fog that shackled Huang Lingyao's young immortal also became very thin. Under Huang Lingyao's vigorous attacks, it finally shattered, and Huang Lingyao finally regained control of her body. However, the waves of intense pain that came from below, and the aftertaste of rushing to the top of the cloud of bliss still remained in her mind. Huang Lingyao, who had regained her freedom, was not happy at all. Instead, she felt despair and even numbness. Although Huang Lingyao was ruthless and would do anything to achieve her goal, even devouring her own sister and sacrificing her own body, her nature was not lustful. If it was another man this time, she would grit her teeth and go through with it. At worst, she would just kill this man. However, the other party was Su Fang, a man who took everything away from her. At this moment, Huang Lingyao's pride, confidence, and dignity were completely destroyed. She was like a walking corpse. Huang Lingyao slowly opened her eyes and glanced at her body. There were still traces of intense collisions on it. She smiled woodenly, as if her body no longer belonged to her. Looking at Su Fang, Huang Lingyao said indifferently, "Kill me." Su Fang furrowed his brows. Kill. Chapter 17:15. Looking at Huang Lingyao's disheartened look, she was like a walking corpse. Su Fang had a headache thinking of how to deal with her. Chapter 17:34. 9 Truths and 9 Sons. You took away my inheritance, my body, my confidence, my dignity, and everything else. I have nothing now, what's the point of continuing to live? Rather than living like a walking corpse, it's better to die in your hands. Huang Lingyao said coldly, as if she had lost her soul. Her eyes were dull, and she no longer had the stunning elegance of the past. I took everything from you? Huang Lingyao's words made Su Fang think of his encounter this time. An indescribable anger grew in his heart, and then it burned fiercely. Cultivators of the outside world, if you don't kill me, then I kill you. You wanted to kill me this time, so I took your inheritance. It's only right and proper. What grievances do you have? As for your body, what does it have to do with me? As a man, I was actually forced by a woman against my will. My heart is full of humiliation. Who should I seek revenge from? Who will return my innocence? The more Su Fang spoke, the angrier he got. 9 True 9 Sons, Chapter 17:34. He was actually forced by a woman to do that. It was simply a great humiliation. Before that, Su Fang's blood was burning, and his life force was incomparably vigorous. Now that he had returned to normal, he became very weak. Activating the thunder of destiny consumed more than half of Su Fang's life force. His hair turned snow-white, and he looked like an old man in his 60s. At this moment, he was yelling at a naked peerless beauty, as if he was a weak girl who had been brutally abused. This scene was as strange as it could get. Huang Lingyao sneered. Is my body really so dirty? You took advantage of me, but you still have to make such a disgusting appearance as if you had eaten a fly. Could it be that in your heart I, Huang Lingyao, am so unbearable? Su Fang was startled. He had just taken away Huang Lingyao's virginity, and now he was reprimanding her with an aggrieved look. It seemed a bit unreasonable. Huang Lingyao said coldly, "What you said just now was right. In the world of cultivators, you eat me, I eat you, you kill me, I kill you. In order to become stronger and not be eaten by others, I do things by hook or by crook. Am I wrong? Aren't you, Su Fang, the same kind of person? How dare you look down on me, Huang Lingyao?" The reason I've fallen to such a state isn't because I lack talent or ability, nor is it because I lack schemes or methods. It's because my luck isn't enough. In the end, everything is for naught. Su Fang, haven't you always wanted to kill me? You're my longtime enemy in the small world, and also my nemesis. Since I can't kill you, I'll have no regrets if I die in your hands. Huang Lingyao stuck out her chest, raised her head, closed her eyes, and waited for death. Her face was full of calmness, or rather, a deathly stillness. Su Fang was silent for a while. Looking at Huang Lingyao, Su Fang said indifferently, "You're right. You and I are the same kind of people. In order to achieve our goals, we will do anything by hook or by crook. However, the difference between you and me is that I have my own bottom line. As long as it doesn't go against my heart, I will achieve my goals by hook or by crook. But you are completely different. In order to have power and strength, you can devour your elder sister and won't let go of any opportunity. But for my family and friends, I don't hesitate to die. In order to achieve your goals, you can compromise and even sacrifice your body to find a shortcut for yourself. Although I also have forbearance, in the end, I still advance fiercely. I meet gods, I kill gods, I meet devils, I slay devils, I cut through thorns and thorns. Therefore, my Tao heart is open-minded and unobstructed. Naturally, I can do things smoothly. Even if I encounter difficulties and obstacles, I can still move forward bravely. But you play tricks everywhere. It seems that you've taken a shortcut, but in fact, everything you do is against your heart." Huang Lingyao opened her eyes and sneered, "How can you know my heart?" Su Fang said indifferently, "I don't believe that you killed your own elder sister because of your heart." Su Fang's question was like a sharp blade, fiercely stabbing Huang Lingyao's heart. Huang Lingyao's face turned pale with a swish. "With such a Tao heart, how can you reach the peak? Schemes and craftiness make you take a shortcut, but it goes against your heart. In the end, you will be shackled by yourself and it will be difficult for you to achieve much. Take this time when you were possessed by Mother Yun. If you didn't rely too much on the Tao artifact and vainly try to use Yunxiao's thunder sword to reach the sky in a single bound, how could you have given Mother Yun an opportunity? In the final analysis, you didn't lose to me, but to yourself." Su Fang's voice was like a thunderclap. Every word struck the heart, shaking Huang Lingyao's body and making her face turn pale. Su Fang said indifferently, "With what you've done to me in the past, I won't find it too much to kill you 10 times. But I can't kill you because of what happened just now. No matter what, I won't kill that woman. It goes against my heart. Therefore, I won't kill you." "You won't kill me?" Huang Lingyao was surprised. "Go. As long as you don't become my enemy in the future, I won't make things difficult for you." Su Fang waved his hand and sat down cross-legged by the pool. He was about to swallow medicinal pills to restore the life force he had consumed. Huang Lingyao was inexplicably angry. "The reason you won't kill me is because I have intercourse with you," Su Fang said coldly. "I've already decided to let you go. What else do you want? Although I have nothing now, I, Huang Lingyao, don't need your pity and charity. If you won't kill me, then fine. I'll kill myself." Huang Lingyao smiled bitterly. Her face was resolute. The blood, qi, and vital spirit in her body quickly overflowed from her body. In her anger and despair, she actually wanted to destroy her cultivation and life. Damn it! Su Fang's eyebrows curled. He didn't care about Huang Lingyao's life or death, but he couldn't just watch her die in front of him. Su Fang's figure flashed, and he arrived in the spirit pool in an instant. He reached out to support the collapsed Huang Lingyao. At this time, Huang Lingyao had already lost the motivation to live. She only wanted to die. Her qi, mana, and vital spirit were rapidly dissipating. Even her vital spirit consciousness was rapidly dissipating. This woman lives for power and strength. Now that her inheritance has been taken away by me, her strength will forever be suppressed by me. Moreover, her body and mind have been humiliated this time. Naturally, she has fallen into despair and lost the courage to live. Luo, you shameless bastard! If you had acted in time, how would I be in such trouble? Su Fang was extremely depressed. He couldn't help but fiercely despise Luo. He hurriedly sealed Huang Lingyao's body to stop the flow of qi. Then Su Fang activated the demonic blood plate. He stabilized Huang Lingyao's divine aperture with the power of his vital spirit, suppressing the dissipation of vital spirit consciousness and mana. Only then did he inject the power of the 9 suns into Huang Lingyao's body. Su Fang's actions quickly stabilized Huang Lingyao's body and vital spirit to a normal state. However, her consciousness was still not awakened. She had fallen into a deep sleep. He picked up Huang Lingyao with both hands and laid her flat on the edge of the spirit pool. Seeing Huang Lingyao's graceful body, Su Fang's heart couldn't help but pound a few times. His breathing became rapid. He hurriedly took out a Taoist robe and covered her body. He also took out a king-grade yin-yang immortal sky pill, refined it with yang qi, and sent it into Huang Lingyao's mouth. Then Su Fang peeled off a yang immortal and aggressively entered the blood jade. He passed through layers of blood light formations and arrived in front of the blood-colored cage. Luo, you shameless guy, you have to give me an explanation. Su Fang's anger was monstrous. This was the first time he had seen Luo since he met him. Luo directly responded to Su Fang by rolling his eyes. Don't take advantage of me. Huang Lingyao is such a great beauty. You did that to her. Instead of thanking me, you blame me. What's the reason for this? It's simply repaying kindness with ingratitude. Su Fang was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Not only did Luo become indecent, but he also became more shameless and rogue. Was this his true nature? Or was it because he had stayed in the blood-colored cage for too long, so his personality was a little distorted? Luo said with a straight face, "The reason why I didn't help you this time is because I want you to personally experience the danger. Otherwise, if you encounter a difficult problem in the future and ask me to help you in the long run, you will become dependent on me, which is not good for your cultivation." Luo's words seemed to make some sense, but Su Fang still felt that he did not help in time this time because of his bad taste, and not because of the dignified reason he said. Luo then said, "Besides, you have the supreme luck brought to you by the purple Qi Dharma spirit, which can turn misfortune into good fortune. What's more, you have also used the mysterious solution of heaven's divination. This time there is no danger, and instead there will be a peach luck. Naturally, I will not help you." "What peach luck? It's just bad luck, okay? My chastity has been completely destroyed." Su Fang looked up to the sky and roared. His heart was very depressed. Luo smiled and sighed, but this time it was really a little dangerous. After all, you were facing the primordial spirit of a god. It was almost difficult to deal with. I almost had to help. "Luo, thank you." Su Fang knew that Luo really cared about him, and could not help but feel touched. However, in the next moment, Su Fang suddenly woke up and asked coldly, "Luo, you just said that you couldn't help but want to help?" "Yes, what's wrong?" Su Fang couldn't help but gnash his teeth. "In other words, you saw everything that happened before this?" Luo coughed again and again. "Cough, cough. I saw it, but not much, just a little." Luo smiled and said, "I'm not concerned, so I pay attention to your every move. If it's outside of business, I can help at any time."